This kombucha I'm drinking actually doesn't taste that bad. It's got that mild vinegar taste, but it tastes just like otherwise it tastes like iced tea.
What brand is it?
Health Aid?
Health Aid.
Health Aid.
Health Aid.
It's like
Yeah, I don't
Health
know. It was
Aid.
just in my.
I've got
Health
It
Aid.
was like in
I've got
my.
hell in the mind.
All right, what are we doing?
All right. So just like wrap up. I don't know if you guys read the doc, but I'm gonna send some stuff. John, first of all, or Aldrich, kind of
Sure.
following up on your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Here's like the definition in D&D Beyond of alchemy supplies,
Oh,
Oh God.
that was my dryer.
and like just basic like DCs and stuff. And you can look up all the stuff you can make. Let me get you a description of that book. But that book essentially provides +1 to all checks related to brewing potions and like identifying potions.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have like a kit of alchemy supplies, and the book provided proficiency as with those as well as, and it's called this.
Fuck. That's the book.
Right.
I only have
Yeah,
one
writing's
question on all this.
Yep.
Did you and John like talk about this? Or are you making him an alchemist, like just on your own volition?
No, we talked about it.
Okay.
Uh,
I was like, John's like an alchemist. Like, did he come up with this, or like, okay, y'all talk about this?
well, there's some character stuff that Aldrich hasn't revealed yet. That
Yeah, no, I'm not asking
else
for that to be
does.
revealed. I'm just wondering, like this is a very clear character direction with all this item stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, and we talked about it.
Alchemy
yes.
is dope. Is there not an
I was
alchemy
actually-
like homebrew for like wizards?
Yeah,
Or is that
there's an alchemist homebrew class. I think actually there's an artificer alchemist which Mercer made.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
part
cool.
of critical role content. I always check yes on enable critical role content.
But yeah, so basically you're proficient. You can brew cool stuff like alchemist fire and acid and antitoxins, whatever you want, and you get +1 to all those checks. And there's also sort of a hint, and you also found out that you maybe have some family in the Forest of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Notable thing for Bud. So basically, like after the events of Miros' Tower, Argyros invites you to stay. He says you can stay as long as you want at his mansion and enjoy the rest of the festival. The festival goes on for a full week, so you still have like 5 days of enjoying it, and you can actually enjoy it in earnest without having to worry about people killing you. And you guys can decide whatever you want to be doing during that time. But I do have like 3 things that are gonna occur, but one of those things is on one night. You guys are going to notice Argyros he steps away from the festivities. He's mostly been hanging out with you guys, and he steps away for like a full evening, and he returns the next morning with a small parcel. And Bud, he pulls you aside, and he says, "Hey, Bud, I've been searching for ways to thank you guys for all your assistance. I think I was able to help Aldrich, and I came across a curious thing through one of my contacts, or a curious bit of information that I followed up on." And he pulls out this parcel, and he says, "This was destined as payment to the Night Fox from the Syndicate for her ongoing aid in the city, and it was on route to her when we kind of did her dirty. And upon hearing the Night Fox's demise, the Syndicate had the item rerouted towards another operation that they had. But I took the liberty of intercepting it, and through some information in my logistics network, and it did not reach its destination." And he kind of pulls it out, and he unwraps it in front of you, and it is
It's a gauntlet, baby.
it's a purple and gold gauntlet with like sort of ornate trim on it. There's a picture of it in that Google Doc I sent you guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty dope.
Yeah, that's why I
Wait
wanted to send
until
it.
you
It's
hear
fucking
what
cool.
it does.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
By the way, Alex, check out your character sheet, and I mean, you already had a lot of it filled out, but like, you should have some spells now because I took the liberty of adding them to show you how easy it is. Your character sheet in Roll20 already had your like attributes and everything. I don't know if you had been updating it and just not rolling through it, but
Yeah, no, I added.
Bud has
some.
most of the stuff in there that you can use to roll skill checks. Skill checks is most important. If you just want to do attacks and just roll the dice and type it in, that's fine. But like skill checks is very useful for like the DM's eyes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what the gauntlet looks like, that link I just sent. He kind of gives you a look and he says, "But I understand you're a bit of an illusionist yourself, similar to the Night Fox." And he kind of offers it to you and he says, "This isn't of much use to me, but I think in the right hands, it can be relatively powerful." And he's actually already identified it for you. And I would go ahead, I'm going to send you the description, and I would add this to your inventory because this thing is strong as shit.
Yeet.
This is a
It's
purple.
called, yeah, this is a purple. And it's called
Perp?
yeah, he hands it to you, and it's called the Illustrious Grasp. And
Everyone in the party now has a purple, except for Gen. The bite is
and yeah, and he says it essentially allows you. It significantly enhances the wearer's illusion magic as well as defenses against such magic. And this is what it does. He says it also has the ability to, I believe, to scale with your knowledge of the School of Illusion. And this is what it does. Oh fuck, that's long shit. Here, I'll send it in the Hangout so you can copy it
Okay.
from D&D Beyond.
Either way, it's in the.
But it's pretty fucking powerful.
This
Basically,
is a homebrew item.
yeah,
Yes,
this is
okay.
I built this
All right,
item.
cool.
Basically, starting at the starting level, you can cast Mirror Image once per short or long rest for free. Your spells are enhanced with frightening illusory auras, which basically means your damaging spells do an additional 1d4 psychic damage, and you have advantage on perception investigation checks related to determining if something's an illusion. Once you get to level 7, it gets a good bit stronger, and then level 13 you get to do some crazy shit.
Nice.
The main question I have regarding this is, can all these things also be applied to Root? Because Root's the one seeing things for Bud. So is Root, I guess, also getting these advantages? Or like it's an extension
Yeah, I would say
of Bud's will?
because it's based on perception investigation. I would say that I would say yes, because like Bud is able to perceive things through Root's eyes. I think he would get the benefit there.
Could he cast Mirror Image on Root? The possibilities are endless here. These are things that could be hashed out later. I'm just wondering.
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. I'd be willing to let you do that.
Bud does
it's like,
additional psychic damage when he pecks people?
No, it has to be a spell.
Okay, yeah, cool. That's really powerful.
Nice.
I read all of it already, and I don't know what the line would be where I would DM hammer y'all like homebrewing something, because it's likely that whatever y'all make, I've already made a homebrew item that's like even more powerful than it. So I would be a hypocrite if I DM hammered anything. So I never will.
Yeah, so this is a fun little item. I also gave you Garrel once you hit 7 for free.
Nice. Okay, cool. Bud says, "I'll take it. Thanks."
Argus gives you a wry smile and he says, "Glad to hear it. I think it's in good hands." And then he kind of walks back into the festivities. Again, while you're kind of just going through, I think you had a laundry list of things you wanted to take care of in Travelnestra, and while you're generally just enjoying the festival,
Yep.
At one point, Quinan, you kind of feel a hand on your shoulder, and you turn around and you see Quinan, and he kind of beckons you quietly into like a side alley. And without saying anything, he hands you a rod. Kind of says, "I'm not exactly sure why, but my patron deemed that you should have this. You would probably know that this is a rod of the Pact Keeper, which basically improves your spell DC. And this is not a homebrew item, so you could look this up. But
Okay,
it's
I haven't yet,
the
because I was
base.
going to ask you what a rod, because I'm not sure what a rod of the Pact Keeper is.
Yeah, so it's the base rod of the Pact Keeper. So basically, I think I can just pull it up for you, but it improves your spell DC by 1,
Sick.
and I think it also adds 1 to your.
That's huge.
Yeah, so you gain a bonus to spell attack rolls and saving throws on your spell DC. So basically, you just have +1 on spell attack rolls, and your spell DC increases by 1 for all warlock spells.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. I will add that.
Yeah, and
There's some global modifiers.
Yeah, and he would look at you and just say, I think we're destined to cross paths again, and I look forward to it." And then with that, he'd.
Not so fast, Quinan. No, I mean, I would say, thank you. Like, you didn't even have to do this, but I know this is a powerful item for warlocks like us. And I would kind of be at a loss. Like, I had already been looking for him because I do have something I want to talk to him or say to him, but I'd be like struggling to think of something to give to him in return for him giving me this, and I would give him the monocle that I got off of one of the gifts. I'd be like, this I discovered in my travels one of those gift creatures. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're massive hippo-like entities from the plane of fire, and I feel like this is a rather rare artifact. So I have 2 of them. So I'm gonna give one to you if you want it.
He would he'd say, "Oh, I wasn't expecting anything in return. I'm simply doing Galactus's bidding." However, I am relatively intrigued by that, as I do study extraplanar entities. So, and he takes it happily.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, perhaps that can lead you to some additional lore and more a muse or something to paint from the plane of fire. I plan to find out more about it myself now that I've encountered such creatures. But I do have a proposition if you're willing to, I guess, humor me for a moment. I feel like this would be mutually beneficial, and you mentioned that our paths will likely cross again. I agree, and I want to go out of my way to make sure they do. And I propose that you live here in Travel Nestra and you spend most of your time here, or are you a traveler much like me, I would ask?
I spend much of my time traveling. However, I guess if you were...
This is your home base.
This is my home base, yes.
Yeah. Well, my home base is in Eslock, and I propose that any lore or artifacts or knowledge that I obtain dealing with the Far Realm or other planes that we are interested in finding more out about in my travels, I will do my best to swing by, let's say, Travel Nestra every so often, and provide these things to you and share, and perhaps a cup of coffee, have a discussion about it, or if it's something physical, bring it to you for material for your paintings and your own knowledge. In exchange, all I ask is that you do the same regarding any contacts that you have with people that provide you with the material for your paintings, or, God forbid, but knowledge of the other Solindasuma gods, or other warlocks carrying similar patrons. Let's call it a Far Realm culture exchange. This is what I propose.
He nods and says, I think that could be amenable. I'll be upfront with you that many of my sources would not be willing to have me reveal their information, but there is some I can disclose, especially with regard to my own studies.
That's expected, and that's a caveat to this. It's like, obviously, if it causes undue stress to you or the individuals you interact with, I wouldn't force your hand. But I'm saying anything that you're willing to give, I'm willing to return.
I think that could work. All
right, I'm going to shake his hand. Be like, it's a pleasure to meet you, Quainan. I'll be on the lookout for more of your work, and hope we meet again soon.
Likewise again. And he would turn and walk away.
Sweet. Okay.
All right. And then the last kind of thing that occurs is Argyros kind of remembers, this happens early on, but he stops Darcy and he says, he sort of removes a bracelet that he's wearing, and he says, "Little one, this was a gift from your ancestor, whom you may have hinted is still alive," which I'm not sure how that's possible, but she gave this to me in exchange for aiding her people, and perhaps it will come in handy for you in your journey to explore the world and find potentially a new home for your folk. And he hands her the bracelet, and it's a bracelet called Daria's Band, and it provides +1 to attack and damage rolls to all undead creatures under the control of the wearer. And with that, so you guys can do whatever you want, and then we can move away from Travel Nestra.
Okay, I'll start because I have probably a lot, but I just want to run it off. It doesn't have to be each one's a conversation, whether it's with people or not. But
yep,
I just had a running list of things Gin wanted to take care of. First things first, I'd want to go to the library with the stolen portion of the stolen gold, which I think, let's say 200 of it, I would want to take and go and see Alondra or whoever's there and donate that portion of the stolen gold from the Syndicate / Miros' operation to the library in whatever capacity to be used. However, I just want to donate, and I guess let Alondra know that I was donating it also would be part of that.
uh, Alondra's, as you walk back in, she's like, again, it's good to see you again. I heard about what happened at Argyros' manor and that you were there. I'm glad to see you're okay.
Yes, it was. Thanks for your concern. Yeah, it was stressful, and we got through it. But yeah, I came back because I wanted to. We. So I'll shoot straight with you. I am a detective. I am a law enforcement officer, so to speak, for an organization within the freelancers you may or may not have heard of. But that's not important. The point is, I have some resources that I want to share with you and donate to the library because of how nice you were and helpful to me and my fellow travelers. First time in Trevelnestra, libraries are some of my favorite places, and I want to help expand the collection and furnishings of this place, this city that I plan to return to. So here is, I don't know how the donation process works, what the logistics are, if I should even be giving this to you, but here it is. I'm going to give it to her.
She's kind of taken aback. She's like, "Well, that's very generous of you, Ken. Thank you. We're always looking for funds to add so we can continue building our collection here, as well as sort of continue supporting some of the arts for the less fortunate folks of Trail Nestra. So this is a generous gift, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you." She's kind of stumbling over her words.
And the only thing I would ask in return, and I don't know how your library does this, but I'll have like a sketched out on like a piece of notepaper, like a list of like topics, subjects. A lot of them are just Celinda Suma, like god names. And I would give it to her and be like, if your library manages to maintain copies of books or tomes on any of these subjects, could you please send a letter to this address within SLOC, which is like the Celinda Suma like HQ. Like just if it's not too much trouble, that would be incredibly valuable to me and my organization. Yeah, I know the Travel Nestor Library is mostly dealing with fiction and artistic works, but that's no issue. Still, anything dealing with these subjects, I would hand that to her as well.
Okay. Yeah, Alondra takes it and she kind of gives it a quick glance over and she looks at you and smiles and says, "Again, I'd be happy to help with this, and let us know if you need anything else."
Yeah,
it was great to have met you.
Likewise, and this isn't farewell. I plan to return to the library, to the city in general. Enjoyed my time here, and I plan to stay the rest of the week for the festival. So maybe I'll see you around.
She nods and she kind of goes a little red. And she says, "I'd like that," and kind of looks down sheepishly.
All right, I would shake her hand.
She also gets your hand. She's like, "Oh, yeah, good to see you again."
All right, I'll leave in haste. Still remembering that I left that picture with her, but also not saying anything about it. Okay, the next thing I want to do was, you said I found some forged manifests showing, I have written here, give over forged manifests showing warehouse crimes in order to cook the books with organization Renfield and Associates. That's something that I discovered and I took with me. And
did you take that with you? I thought for some reason I was thinking you forged it additionally and
Well, I wanted to take I left a like Celinda symbol on like a blank piece of paper, and then I took the manifests. That's what I had written in my notes. I'm pretty sure that's what I would have done.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And then I have I have this as part of my background. I have ear to the ground. I'm like an urban bounty hunter, which is like the closest thing to detective. So I have contact with people in like various cities. You can say that like Celinda doesn't have a big enough presence within Travel Nestra, and this like wouldn't be relevant. But whatever law enforcement there is, obviously, if there's Celinda activity here, then I would want to contact like my own organization. But I would give these manifests showing crimes over to law enforcement contacts within Travel Nestra, and like kind of link it as evidence against Miros and his nefarious dealings.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's probably like at least a small Celinda presence. I don't think it's prominent. I think the primary law enforcement here is the Travel Nestron Guard, who
I don't trust. I would probably think twice about giving it to them.
Yeah, if you were to consult Argyros about that, he would say it would probably be wise to not incriminate yourself with them.
Yeah,
I'd be concerned for your safety.
Yeah. So if Celinda's there, I would hand it over to them, And in a meeting with them, I would also bring up like what they knew about Miros and Miros's connections that we basically discovered firsthand with the Plane of Fire, the gifts, the City of Brass, any of those things. I would want Celinda to look into that in addition to getting this evidence against him. And I would tell Argyros about that as well. Like, I'm having the Celinda agents do this because the Miros aftermath, that's one of the questions I had for Argyros. Another thing I had is bring the guns to Baron. I wouldn't keep that. I would bring the big bazooka gun to Baron and the Tinker and say, like, you can have this and, like, try to figure it out. Advanced science, bro. I don't know what y'all would do with the handguns. I guess that's not my call. But I would give the bazooka gun.
That's what Argyros would. He would have gone with you, and he would have handed over the pistol as well.
Okay.
Who?
Baron, Tinker.
That Tinkerer that we met. You guys that we met at the art show.
Is it Baron or Barim? Is it M?
Barim.
Oh, it's M, not N.
Barim.
Okay, I had
Barim.
Okay. Yeah. So that's something. And then questions I had for Argyros is related to what I just did. What is the aftermath in the city when everyone learns of Miros' death and the explosion of the tower? Like, what do you think is going to happen? What actions do we need to take to mitigate potentially bad things from coming out? Or was Miros how well connected was he with the Syndicate or other criminal organizations in the city? If there's anything that we can help with, I don't want to like leave all this shit on you because like we're not planning on staying after the festival, but anything that we can do.
He would nod and he'd say, yes, I appreciate the concern. I think there will be some fallout. Undoubtedly some will try to connect me or have my involvement as some kind of revenge plot, which is not entirely inaccurate. However, I have a fairly extensive network of people I trust in this city, and I think that with some detective work and utilizing what we found in the warehouse and some of the information I've gathered, I think I'll be able to build enough evidence to prove that Miros was the bad apple in this city, and hopefully we can begin to snuff out the Syndicate presence here.
It's good to hear. Yeah, I hope that we can nail him on what undoubtedly was a very illustrious and devastating criminal career.
He would say, my primary concern is that, unfortunately, Miros was not running things in Travel Nestor for very long. For a long time, it was his father, who I believe was a little more respected by the Syndicate. And after his passing, Miros took over the business and was more of something that was tolerated and viewed as a pawn by the Syndicate rather than a full member of the organization due to his erratic tendencies.
Given that, do you think that his bold actions that essentially set in course the motion of events that caused his death, boldly going and attacking and killing people within your festival or your event, do you think that was his own folly? Or do you think the Syndicate somehow forced his hand into doing that, whether they thought he would succeed or fail? They were in control of that.
It's possible that the latter is correct if the Syndicate is potentially on to my true identity. However, I don't necessarily think that's the case, and I do believe that it's in line with Miros' character to act with such folly and brazenness, and I believe that if anything, the Syndicate's probably unhappy with that course of action.
Fucking up, yeah. Okay, that's my hope as well, but at the same time, I wouldn't underestimate the Syndicate and tread carefully.
Agreed.
Completely unrelated inquiry. Also in Argyros, maybe I wouldn't say this right after this. This is like another day where we're like having drinks or something. Kind of a lighter mood. I would ask, how did you manage to control the weather like that? Assuming that was you, and I'm pretty sure it was.
He smirks and he says, "You notice much, Mr. Gann. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, but this is what Argyros looks like in Dragon form. It was me. That is something of an innate ability that my race has with regard to areas that we spend enough time in, particularly our layers. My layer here being right in the center of Chalanestra, I have significant sway over certain laws of physics here."
What a boon to have.
It comes in handy.
Yeah, incredible. Oh man, I wish I could be a dragon. Gen's probably like drunk at this point. Like we're having drinks and like Gen's letting it all out.
Argyros doesn't mind. He's enjoying it and he's drinking with you. But
yeah.
he's also kind of hard pressed to get drunk. But he's also extremely friendly. So he's like, he's enjoying it. He's enjoying talking to you.
The only other two things I had on my list would be to ask him generally, and Argyros kind of already addressed this, like what's next for Argyros, and when is the next festival in Treblemestra? I would ask that of somebody, and I guess Argyros would probably be the best person to ask.
Argyros would say, what's next is I've taken Treblemestra under my wing, and I care much for the people here and the type of culture that's fostered here with its accepting nature. And I intend to ensure that continue my work with assisting the lower class citizens here that haven't been given a fair chance, as well as continuing to hopefully root out the syndicate operations here and put a stop to it. As for the next festival, the Masquerade only happens once a year. However, there are lesser festivals all the time. Winter's Crest is a popular one. It's more of a festival of lights. And then there's also a more, how do I put it? I guess dark-themed festival in the fall. Where
Game's eyes perk up.
Yeah, I thought you might be interested in that. It's more of there's more focus on the occult and being scary, more for the fun of it. No malicious intent, but things like that.
I was already planning on returning, but now I can set my calendar.
Well, you always have a place to stay here.
Glad to hear it. So yeah, that's all I had as far as like follow-ups. If anybody else wanted to jump in.
Okay. What's anybody else doing? You guys want to? Aldrich, Bud, do you have anything to do? Or are you just hanging out and getting drunk and
Yeah, but
looking at
I'm
art?
getting drunk.
I'm getting drunk and reading, like, and going through, like, my alchemist supplies and kind of, like, playing around with them, like, trying to create random potions, that kind of thing.
You're gonna kill people.
Yeah,
now.
I think you in that kind of week where you're tinkering with it with some like kind of I guess renewed vigor and just the excitement of like learning a new trade. You are able to brew 2 batches of alchemist fire and 2 batches of acid.
Sweet.
And 1 vial of antitoxin. So you can add that to your inventory.
Oh yeah, I wanted to go to the shop, the generic.
Say that again?
general
Sorry.
Shop.
Just typing. Alchemist fire.
Yeah, alchemist fire, acid, and antitoxin. You have 2 of each of those.
Is there a general shop that we could go to also that we could like
Yep.
check the goods
Yeah,
at?
yeah. I need to spend some money.
Yep. Yeah, what are you guys looking for?
Potions.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of potions. There's an apothecary.
Bags of holding.
Yeah, that was the last thing I had on my list was a bag of holding.
Okay.
So,
I actually
Give
kind
it
of
a
don't
shot.
want to get one just to, like, keep it as a joke, but it would be nice to have one.
Darcy would definitely be like, yeah, I'd like a bag of holding. She's mostly just been like fucking like going buck wild on the festival and like running around in her red panda mask and enjoying herself.
I had
She,
915 GP, so y'all should have around like 800 to 900 as well, depending on how much
Yeah,
y'all bought previously.
I've got 832. So bag of holding is that's a pretty valuable item. But there's one in the general store. It's kind of like up on a rack, and the purveyor's like, oh well, yes, this is actually a place Argyros led you, and he says, well, if you're a friend of Argyros, I'd be happy to give you a discount, say 1,000 GP for the bag of holding.
We're buying it no matter
which-
what. If we
Yeah,
pool
which
our
you guys
money or
could
what.
split between you. So Darcy would say, yeah, I'd be happy to go force these on that.
Just Venmo me.
Why,
Darcy would
uh,
also, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, why do we need one? What are some like good examples of why it'd be that useful?
Well, so we don't have a ton of
Just wondering.
so we don't have a ton of items. Well, okay, so you're asking as Alex, or are you asking in character?
I'm asking.
Asking
I'll ask as
else.
Bud.
Yeah.
Bud's asking why the
Okay.
fucking.
Yeah.
Darcy say, I guess we don't really need one, but I feel like we're starting to accumulate some pretty good hauls. It'd be nice to carry things like the rifle Gen had and not be weighed down.
This is one
So
of
it's
the
just like a
more,
closet.
as far as items that you can buy in a shop, that this is worth the money in Gen's mind. This is something that is pretty rare, and we have the money. And Gen would make the remark that most of the things worth having in this world you can't really buy, but this is one thing that you can, so that's why I'd want to.
Profound. I agree. What other stuff? I don't know if you have anything special in the shop as we're like looking around. Is there anything that catches Aldrich's or I guess other people's eyes?
So there's not. This isn't. It's not really. This is the primary magic item that's in this shop. It's more of a general
Okay.
good shop that he has. He's got potions available. Aldrich, if you wanted to buy some specific components to try and for your alchemical recipes, or if you wanted to, I'd let you buy a health potion recipe. That's going to be expensive, but
Mhm.
I'd let you do it. And but other than that, it's just like normal stuff. So if you want, you wanted to, he's got a few sort of simple melee weapons, stuff like that.
I wouldn't buy anything else. I don't think. I already have 2 potions that I haven't used yet, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm trying to read into alchemy stuff because I'm not really familiar with it. But like, how much would a like I don't or like the recipe for like health potions be?
Honestly, don't know, but I'll charge you 500 for it.
Okay, I guess
much
it also
yeah.
depends what I don't know.
Yeah,
Not-
I think for just a base health potion, I think 500 would be fair, and then the components will be also cost you some like it'll cost you like a quarter of the cost of a regular potion.
Sure. Okay, I like that.
How much are just to buy potions?
Yeah, did we set that? I can't remember what we paid. Was it like 50 GP?
Yeah, it's like 50 or 100. Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
I'll say
remember.
50 because you're in a friend of Argyros' shop.
Okay, I'm gonna
So-
buy
Yeah, Darcy's gonna buy 3 of those.
5. I'm gonna buy 6.
You could also buy. You could if you wanted to buy a whatever the like. I guess it's greater potion of healing.
Yeah.
You could buy that for 100.
Hundo.
So Darcy's gonna buy. She's gonna chip in for that, and she's gonna buy 2 regular, 1 greater.
Who wants to?
I'm gonna buy
bag
2
holding?
and 2. 2 and 2.
Yeah, I counted the bag of holding. Okay, so mark off your gold. Who wants to carry the bag of holding?
Well, that's what I was just asking. Who wants to hold the bag of holding?
Oh yeah,
I thought you were
Darcy'd be
saying
fine
you.
holding it.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Okay, Darcy will hold it.
Doesn't Bud like to steal? You of all people would want the bag of holding probably more than any of it.
Yeah, but it's a big bag.
Is
It's a big old bag.
oh yeah. There was one other thing, and this might be a rabbit hole, but we can resolve it later.
I know what you're gonna ask.
Gin would like stay up the night before that we left, and he'd go to the market square and try to observe the masked ghost at midnight.
Yep.
He would want
Yeah.
to observe and not engage. Like whatever it is, if it's even real, like he might just end up spending the night at midnight and just seeing nothing. He would do that, probably without telling anyone. Would Gin tell anybody? I don't see why he wouldn't. I would say to everyone, I'd be like, hey, before we leave, remember that rumor? And I would like see if anybody else wanted to come.
Darcy'd be interested in going. Undead stuff is her thing.
I'm actually gonna. You said the graders are 100 apiece.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna get 3 graders.
Actually, I'm gonna buy 1 more grader. Yep. Make sure you're keeping track of that in your inventory.
Yep.
Did y'all figure out the bag of holding costs, or do I need to chip in for that as well?
Yeah, it's 250 from everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
And yeah, so John, if you wanted to buy components for a
Bud's
regular
unwilling
potion
of
of healing,
giving his money.
Wait, you're not willing to chip in for the bag of holding?
Bud is
Why?
unwillingly chipping in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was like, come on.
Yeah, apparently Xanthar's Guide to Everything talks about like brewing potions.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
what I used to
Okay,
get that
sweet,
stuff
yeah.
for you.
So I was just looking. Yeah, so I have 575 gold, 570 something. I don't know what the one's digit is, but could I
What have
buy?
you been spending your gold on? We found like a fuck ton of gold, and
I think I had 730 or 740.
Well, I had 820 and I spent 250 on the bag of holding.
oh, okay, and then you've got and then you're spending 500 on the recipe, and then you have some components, and you can like spend some money on components. So if you wanted to brew those potions, I'd say the components would cost you like 10 gold a piece.
Per potion?
Yeah, per potion. You
Okay.
just have to spend some. You'd have to spend some time brewing them.
Yeah. So the
And-
one day thing, I can do that. So yeah, I'll just drop the 500 and I'll get enough to make 5 potions.
Okay. All right, cool. Mark that shit off. We got the gold. We got the.
And we're level 5, right? So I need to choose 2 level 3 spells.
Yep.
Okay. I'll do that.
All right.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
want to see
and-
about this ghost.
All right. Roll investigation checks. Whoever's going. So that's
Oh, I'm going for sure.
Yep.
The ghost is mine. I'm Ghost Hunters International, baby.
All right.
Oh no.
Oh, but
Gin has like
Scared to
he has
go.
his camera like near his face, and his eyes are lit up. He's like, "What was that? What was that?" He's like looking around. Did you hear that?
Bud's using mage hand to like slam stuff. I mean, we just wouldn't
You rolled a 1.
like being around. I basically am a ghost.
Yeah, like ghosts. Like that's the thing is like ghosts don't have as much like stopping power as they do like in D&D.
No.
Yeah.
Also,
stopping power.
Because we've literally fought ghosts already. Like they're already
have
things.
I been able to reconnect with Root?
Yeah, I reached back at this point.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, you guys walk into the you're walking around the market square. It's a little before midnight, and it's dark. There's still a decent amount of revelers out, but not as many in the market district, because most of the parties occur in the area where Argyros lives in the evening, and most of the festivities during the day are in the market. There's not a lot of people here, and you hear a shriek, and everybody make a Constitution saving throw.
I mean, are we just walking out in the open, or are we?
Or I don't know what are you guys doing, but
I wouldn't want to be near the market square. I'd want to be observing from a distance because I don't want to like.
Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so you're observing from a distance, and you're pretty perceptive, and you hear a wail, and you don't necessarily need to make a Constitution saving throw, I guess.
We can hear it.
But
do we see?
Yeah. So you see.
I'm gonna hijack it. I'm bashing B as it tries to splatter me.
Yeah. It's a shrieking ghost, and it appears to be what looks like a banshee prowling kind of around the statue in the town square.
Gin would, as like we're all just staring out at it, Gin would be like, "We should leave," like not blinking. He's actually dead serious.
Yeah, Darcy would agree. She's like, maybe let's let Argyros know about this.
I'm not fucking with the banshee.
Such a creature has a story and is more than we can understand, and it's not my job to banish such a creature. And he'd get up and leave.
Okay. Darcy would follow quickly if she's like kind of freaked out, even though she's like very used to undead. This particular undead kind of freaks her out.
Given that this is a rumor and this thing is probably widely known, yeah, I'm not interested in interacting with it. I would be interested in learning about it somehow, but no.
Okay. All right, you guys walk away. So is everybody done?
Is the magical portal in the Hagmore Marsh that I have a note about that. I'm pretty sure that was this one.
No, that's the Hellmouth, isn't it?
Oh, that was the Hellmouth. Oh, that was the different thing.
No.
Okay,
So,
I thought this was from this session. I guess this was from last session that I have this noted. So bad.
Then Order of Infernal Cultists has opened a magical portal in the Hagmore Marsh.
Yeah, was
You
that from
learned
the first one?
In the Silken
that's
Sorrow,
S-Lock.
which was an S-Lock.
Oh, my bad. I had that noted, but I guess I didn't note what time it was. It was right between the two, but yeah. It was like right before I have stuff about getting a Travel Nestra.
Yeah, okay. John.
Hobby.
Aldrich, the Hellmouth is Aldrich's nut. You told us all about it, but you expressed interest on wanting to return to it. So I don't know how that's going to play out after we leave, but yeah, I don't know. If everybody else is, I don't think I have anything else as far as Travel Nestra to do for Gin.
Yeah, Darcy's done. So I guess if you guys are done, you enjoy the rest of the festival. You bid farewell to your new friends and your newly made powerful ally, as he again echoes that you're welcome in Travel Nestra whenever, and you're more than welcome to stay with him. Say goodbye to Winston and Helga, and you're on your way on your next adventure. And I'll let Dylan take over.
All right. So, Aldrich, what are you thinking about why or when you want to investigate this portal that you learned about in the Silken Sorrow, which is that inn you went into in S-Lock?
Mm-hmm.
About this portal that an Order of Infernal Cultists has opened a magical portal in the Hagmore Marsh, and it was a dwarf, like, cleric-looking person that was kind of telling, like, it was to a lot of, like, kids, but there was also, like, other adventurer types that were in the circle of people listening to him. He was speaking of this portal as the quote-unquote Hellmouth, is how he said it. And it was something that I guess you mentioned to the rest of the party, but we had bigger fish to fry at the moment, and I guess we didn't vow to return, but we were like, well, we can deal with that later. And then we ended up dealing with a bunch of terrible shit in Edrin's Tower, and then we like basically took a vacation, and Darcy had heard about this festival, so now we're leaving Travel Nestra, and we can essentially do anything, but Gin kind of is thinking of that portal, and the fact that the Hagmar Marsh is like a mile or so, or a couple of miles south of S-Lock along the coast, and it's through a forest. It's like a small forest, and then the Hagmar Marsh is close enough to S-Lock to where Gin would like to investigate it, and he would bring it up at least to say like, what's our next move?
Yeah, I don't think Aldrich has any sort of like, specifics I mean, related to infernal cultists or anything that really gathers interest. I think just that's something he remembered the most out of the kind of rumors he heard in that inn. And he kind of remembered that that was something he wanted to pursue, even though we got sidetracked with other stuff.
Okay. What is everybody else feeling?
Darcy's interested in it. She's it's sort of another point of interest of her being interested in all sort of infernal stuff. So she'd willingly go along. She's like, yeah, if you guys want to, if that's something you want to investigate. And again, I know it's probably a bit of a threat to Eslok. So if it's something that you want to pursue and help your city, I'm happy to support you.
Indeed. Bud, what are you feeling? Roots back, I assume.
Yep. I'm interested in anything, but I don't. I'm just along for the ride. I'm not going to do anything else.
Bud wants to go to hell.
interest.
Bud's been trying to die for ages. This is
Yeah.
his big moment.
They didn't get me this.
Yeah, what
that
does
last
Bud feel
time.
about the infernal plane? Okay. So, I mean, Gin would almost like, yes, he wants to investigate this. He's interested. It is a threat to Eslok, but it's almost, you feel like in his ultimate urging for the group to return to Eslok, that's almost secondary to him wanting to find out, because we've been gone like a month or so, and it'll take us like a while to get back. Whether we took a caravan or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's a pretty easy road, but he would want to know what's happening in Eslok as far as like the mist and how we left it. So basically, he'd want to get there to check that and then go investigate this Hellmouth, or this portal, purportedly known as the Hellmouth. So I guess if we had our traveling, do I still have the travel screen? Y'all could continue doing whatever you're doing. I guess Aldrich is kind of locked into that alchemy book.
Mm-hmm.
So we get back to Eslok, and Darcy and Gin. Gin's kind of like focused. He's trying to get to like the Celinda HQ to like meet up with his old team and the people there. And both Darcy and Gin, whenever we enter the city, like enter the confines of the city, everyone notices, first of all, that the mist is like spread throughout the city. It's not covering everything, but it's large portions of the city are now misty. And it's thicker in some areas, lighter in some areas, but you can still see the ominous skull in the far end of town and Idrin's tower above it. But Darcy and Gin specifically, as y'all enter the confines of the city, both of us feel a familiar presence. And Darcy, if you remember that alien-like creature almost, the big praying mantis that stung you, and like kind of the odd feeling of almost like your soul was like being tampered with. And perhaps you have some knowledge of the nature of souls and the difference between life and death and fate. And you feel like the strands, and Gen's feeling this as well, and maybe y'all kind of like can implicitly understand each other are noticing it also, which is odd in its own right. But you know through this feeling of like this tampering with the strands of your like soul, so to speak, that creature you have some odd connection with, and it's still within the city. That specific creature is somewhere nearby. I mean, Eslok's a very large city, but you know it's in the city. And this is the first time you felt that since you dealt with the creature and it managed to escape. You felt like you almost had killed it and it had gotten out of Dodge, essentially. So that's something you experienced, Darcy, along with Gin, and you know Gin experiences it as well.
Darcy hates that. She'd shudder, but kind of keep to herself.
Gin doesn't have any answers himself. He would just stay committed to going and meeting with his Celinda contacts. So he would kind of like, he wouldn't invite y'all to go with him, but like he had shown y'all before kind of like the team. If you go to the handouts, Laura was like his like partner, and then Remy, Ronham, and Halea were like the other members of his like squad. And I guess while y'all are doing whatever you want to do in Eslok, he would go and be meeting with like his other Celinda contacts to discuss the happenings in the city, and then also this portal rumor. So in that time, y'all could be doing whatever you wanted. Gen's going to return with information and a person. So if y'all wanted to do anything in the meantime, then...
Library.
Okay. Do y'all want to go to the library?
Library's good. Aldrich loves reading books. He's excited to read more because he's been reading his alchemy books.
Okay. So what are y'all looking to do in the library?
Darcy likes this place because she's it's like the most like necromantic lore that she's seen since her homeland.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just like, again, perusing the tomes on necromancy spells and stuff like that. Generally, like looking for spells.
Necromancy specifically?
Yep.
Okay. What about everybody else?
I don't know what Aldrich specifically would be looking for. I mean, maybe like more recipes or something like that. He's kind of on a alchemy kick right now. Not anything pertaining particularly to spells, just kind of like how to brew different potions and things like that.
Okay. What about you, Bud?
Bud's looking for more gear.
At the library?
Bud just wants to get decked out. Yeah, no, like, yeah, I want to study. I want to see if there's like, because I don't know. Bud's never really been in a library. I mean, except for since being with you guys. So Bud's gonna go and try and learn some things about maybe some ancient artifacts that are still out and have not been found or whatever lost. Basically, buried treasure.
Yep.
But
I like that.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone roll me an investigation.
You sure it's not Arcana?
Yeah, I guess spells. It could be Arcana. I would say for Bud, it'd be investigation.
Okay. Oh my god, are you fucking kidding me?
Ooh.
no.
Oh, that was you. Okay. I was like, fuck, I rolled bad.
Aldrich 24.
Wow, that sucks.
Okay. So you're looking for Aldrich. You were looking for alchemy like recipes or what specifically?
I mean, just how to brew different types of things. Probably beginners level stuff because I'm still learning. So like easy bake oven level things.
I'll say Darcy, you find the vampiric touch like spell, and it's like you given enough time you might be able to like figure it out and like learn it and like apply it to your own repertoire of spells, but it's like you just can't make sense of it, and you're not able to get it down, even spending like an hour or so, however much time you'll have in the library. You can't copy it down in a way that makes sense. You can't get the somatic or verbal components right, and you could have learned vampiric touch, but you didn't.
Son of a bitch.
But with that, I will say you don't get anything more specific than there are, and this is like kind of like recent, like you're reading like ancient tomes, but you could almost like, if you had like, you were at the library for like a couple hours, you had ancient tomes you're reading, trying to look for ancient artifacts, and then you also got like recent books and like almost like newspaper type material that is, news. You kind of like draw some parallels where there's a group of ancient magical artifacts that are resurfacing and that have become relevant again in current times because people are now searching for them. And from the contact that sent us to the Celinda dungeon at the very beginning that we got the map from, Yohani from Shigar, she spoke of the Quesitora, which is like an adventuring group from ancient times that is returning. You can kind of coalesce all this information. That adventuring group, the Quesitora, is searching for something called the Imperium Elementa, and they are powerful, unique, ancient artifacts from lost ages, from different dimensions, from different planes. Some of them are rumored to be created by the gods or demigods, and you get like kind of a basic understanding of that is a thing in the world, and you kind of already knew it from your understanding of Quesitora, but you're now reading it across many different independent sources. So basically just like confirms it that is something out there that, based on what you're looking for, would definitely pique your interest.
Okay.
And I'll type that. And then John, do not have alchemy stuff ready, so I'm figuring out how to resolve.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to resolve it right now. I mean, we can, because I don't even know what like exactly you'd be looking for, unless you find like some
pretty good roll though.
That's true.
No,
Just tell me I know how to brew everything.
Give me a recipe.
Just give me my recipe.
So the things
No
you
one
already
gets
know how to brew are alchemist fire, poison, antitoxin.
He actually knows. One sec. There's a list. He knows acid, alchemist fire, antitoxin, oil, perfume, and soap. And then he also knows potion of healing.
Okay.
Make some soap.
Darcy's crying because she can't figure out vampiric touch, which is the spell she wants. She's not crying. She's just banging her head against the book.
Like, what are these? The stuff I'm finding is like weird. It's not actual effects. It's like all flavor. All right, I can work with this. So I'm gonna say you get into like some more specific, like kind of esoteric alchemy, and you are able to create a potion that has these characteristics, and it is something that can be thrown, and It's something you'd want to throw at an enemy, and it has the potential to cause them confusion.
Ooh.
Is that something I can brew?
I'd say you'd know the recipe. You'd have to go and get ingredients for it, which I could say you could do. You could make like one of these. It's kind of specific ingredients. You could go and buy them at the shop here. They definitely have them, but you would. This isn't something that you can brew a lot of. It's like a specialty. Unlike kind of a generic alchemist fire. This is something that doesn't have a name, and it was like in a homebrew. It was in a homebrew alchemy book. Yeah, so I'd say get that.
Okay.
So you can get that in your notes. And at this point, I guess after y'all spend your time learning these various things I just explained in the library, I guess Gin would have told you to like meet up outside of, or like in near the inn where y'all previously had spent. Let's say it's Silken Sorrow. You can meet in the Silken Sorrow and talk about this. Gin is with, if that's now
Remy.
appeared to y'all.
I'm gonna name my dog.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so you met Remy previously. He's kind of like taciturn, like didn't really want to, wasn't super talkative when you met him before, but Gin introduces him again, and you know him as he's this like human ranger that is like point man and is a tracker and hunter that is one of Gin's close contacts and friends within Celinda. And Gin kind of says like he's been discussing things with as far as like current events in the city and this portal rumor, and he thinks Remy can help. And he would say, if we're committed to going out to the Hellmouth to investigate it, or this portal in the Hagmar Marsh, which I honestly am. The more I've spoken with the other members, I think it's something that they've all been tracking and something they know of, especially Remy. And I think Remy's skills, if we're committed to doing this, will be especially relevant to this task of tracking down the exact location of this infernal portal and the cultists opening it, this Hellmouth, as this dwarven storyteller perhaps told you in the Silken Sorrow, Aldridge. Once I explained kind of what you heard from this person, and then what Celinda kind of like independently verified, Remy has agreed to take us out there and help us in whatever way he can. And we all kind of decided as a group it's of vital importance that Celinda at the very least knows more about this portal near to Eslock, and even more important that we can potentially stop whatever these cultists are that are responsible for it. And most of all, the timing is oddly coincidental that this portal would be opening at a time so near to Edrin's own planar mishap within the city. This mist now surrounding portions of the city is still problematic, and it still houses things that we don't understand and they're dangerous to the city, and Celinda and the guard and Magia are doing their best to figure it out. And the more we can understand about any other type of planar activity nearby and a potential connection of these dangerous planar shenanigans, the better. And Remy would kind of like, he's been silent the whole time. He has his hood on, and like he's not very talkative, but he would say, "We will not stand by while such portal opens in our backyard." And yes, I think my skills will be specifically beneficial for detecting such portals. Again, would also relate that as far as like the Edrin's Tower and what's been happening in Eslock, is like Remy and Laura tell me that Edrin's Tower is now being canvassed by Magia. And he says that kind of with like some venom. He's like, it's under constant surveillance for the return of Edrin or any of his potential minions returning to find something, get something of theirs. He left much of his personal effects and artifacts in place, or Magia has, and they've left all that in place in an effort to bait Edrin to return. Celinda had our own time to investigate. Laura and Remy and Ronham made a run of the place to investigate his alchemical effects, his journals, the two portals, the things that we saw when we were there, but it was short, and we didn't get much more than we did whenever we were there. And Edrin is still alive in some manner, based on last we saw him, but he hasn't returned to the tower by Magia and Celinda's watch. And Remy would kind of add at this point, he's like, well, the worst part is, it isn't hard to tell. Magia is setting up their own agents to try and harvest the energy from within the portal and within the skull, which the portal still resides. It's fast becoming their own base of operations within the city. Needless to say, we don't like that, but that's a problem for another day, perhaps. That's kind of, they relate this, that Magia is basically like taking control of Edrin's Tower and are investigating it and fucking around with the portal. So Remy would kind of say, he's like, as I said, I can lead you out there. We can leave as soon as y'all are ready. This is midday, like almost evening, but it's almost better to go at night because the first order of business is just to like locate the place and observe it. And the plan is just to find out where it is, what it is, and what needs to be done. And if once we get there, if we determine it's something that we can like handle, then we can act at that point.
That makes sense to me. Darcy would nod again, say, "We're with you, whatever you decide."
Okay. So Remy would explain the pathway down to Hagmar leads through a dense woods that is known for how much is not known about it. It's called the Elder Wood, and it's actually a small, dense forest that isn't on a lot of maps. So me being a ranger, Remy speaking, it's like I can lead us through it, and as a walker along the planar horizons, let's say, I can detect where portals are nearby within a pretty large radius. An invaluable ability that makes me of use within Celinda, especially within S-Lock. Once we're in Hagmar, I suspect I'll know where this Hellmouth is, if it's there at all, and I can lead us through the forest and detect whether things be natural or extraplanar in nature. Any dangers. So, as I said, can lead the way, and we can head out as soon as possible.
Darcy would say, "Okay, so I'm ready to head out whenever," but she'd on the way just be picking Remy's brain or Remy and Gen's brain. Like, is this something that's occurred before? Like, are we like our portal? I know there's a decent amount of occult phenomena that are pretty common here, but do you guys get a lot of interaction with the infernal plane?
Gen would say there's all kinds of cultists that have activity and are almost tolerated to a certain extent within S-Lock, but Infernal is not among them. And Celinda has had interactions, yes, with Infernal cultists before. We've helped root them out, we've helped uncover their rings, and there actually hasn't been Infernal cultists in S-Lock. Since I've been here, we haven't had to interact with them. Like in the last, I've been traveling with y'all for a year, but in the year or so that I was with Celinda, we only interacted with them a couple times, and then they kind of halted activity within the city because we were pretty effective at finding them and rooting them out. And the fact that they are moved into Hagmar Morsh, I don't know the reason, but it stands to reason that there are probably some layoffs of the organization that was active within S-Lock for a time. They're now operating in Hagmar, which is still nearby enough to make me suspect it's the same individuals. But as far as planar activity, that's something that's very common in S-Lock. But we cannot suffer an infernal plane, a portal to the infernal plane, open so near to S-Lock. I suspect it's probably a small group of cultists. We might be able to handle it on our own, but as I said, we can make a judgment when we get there as far as what the action.
That's good. Well, let's go to hell. And also, like, while we're on if we're leaving the city and like while we're on our way, Darcy's going to be kind of covertly on the lookout for like piles of bones or corpses.
One sec.
Piles of bones. Wait, how does Raise Dead work?
You just animate dead.
Animate
you
dead.
You just need a pile. You just need a pile of bones or a corpse.
Okay.
I'll pull it up real quick.
That's funny. Okay, now I honestly don't know a lot about this spell. I'm just okay.
Yeah, choose a pile of bones or a corpse of a medium or small humanoid within range.
Okay. Okay. That'll be fun. So the group is going to head out south and east towards Hagmar Morsh. It's going to take about a couple of hours to get there on foot. We can be traveling kind of efficiently because we're all in shape and we're being led by a ranger who knows the area. The area is surrounded by dense woods to the north, the Hagmar Marsh is, which is what y'all find yourselves traveling through pretty soon. And by the time you're like in the thicket of this forest called the Elder Wood, it's about dusk turning to evening. So y'all find yourselves in the Elder Wood, as Remy said. And he's kind of leading us through. It's like getting southeast, so in order to get to Hagmar from S-Lock, you have to travel through the Elder Wood. That's where we find ourselves. While you're making your way through this wood, which Remy kind of explained to y'all can roll nature checks to see if y'all happen to know about Elder Wood, but you probably didn't because it's rare, but we'll see. What forest is Bud from? Aglarond?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Aldrich and Bud, which kind of makes sense because y'all are both from forests, or Aldrich like knows of them. Yeah, y'all know about the Elderwood. It's a small, like confined, dense forest is in this area that y'all are now traveling through, but you don't know much more than that it existed and it was in this location, which is odd, especially for Bud, who knows about forests. And you don't, I would say, with that nature check, Hagmar Marsh, y'all don't know much about the nearby area of the marsh itself. And as you're traveling through the Elderwood, you begin to notice that the trees and the trunks and the branches get thicker and thicker. The further you go along, essentially the forest becomes more dense. And y'all are now at a point in the evening where like you're getting pretty close. Like Remy's constantly scanning for portals because that's what he can do as the type of ranger he is. And he thinks that we're headed in the right direction right now. And so it's the middle of the night. We should be getting close based on the timing of when we thought we'd get to the marsh. It's full dark, no stars, but there is a full moon, which manages to illuminate the dark forest around you. And so y'all get to a spot in the forest where Remy, at this point, draws his bow, like kind of gracefully and silently, but then he puts up his hand and halts his movement. And then Gin, kind of just a bit behind him, also does the same. And he like asks everybody to stop. And you hear Remy kind of like looking around with some concern. And he says, "There's something near. Something is watching us. All of you, stay here. Keep your eyes peeled. 360 degrees. And try to get a better vantage point in this tree." And it's just like he just pointed to a tree nearby. So he's saying to like the group to like stick together and just like, it's pretty dark. I mean, everybody has dark vision or no? Do gnomes have dark vision?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so y'all can all see pretty well, but you know it's like really dark, so you're in dark vision mode. And let me move you over. Okay, so not long after, it's like Remy that kind of heads through like some brush, and you can still basically see him. And then he starts to like climb the tree nearby because he does it pretty easily. But not long after he starts climbing, and it's only been like less than a minute or so. Everybody roll a perception check. Oh man, Aldrich is hot hand.
I literally the past 3
rolling
times
shit
we've
tonight.
played, I'm getting like 15 plus rolls every time I roll. It's weird. On non-attacks.
You gotta soak in that lore. Okay, so I'm gonna say Aldrich and Bud, y'all both are keenly aware of this. It's kind of like, and I guess with the help of Root, who would be like on your shoulder, I guess. Kind of inexplicably, but without the shadow of a doubt, you hear the sound of laughter in the distance. It's not nearby right now, but it's of a tenor unlike you've ever heard. It's low, it's guttural, it's almost like a bellow, but it's definitely laughter. Like you can just sense that and know it. And in Aldrich, you definitely like notice that it's the sound of like, based on the guttural, low, bellowy like nature of it, it sounds like it's coming from a creature, but it's laughter. And that sounds like something coming from like a thinking, like sentient being. And it's somewhat distant, but in Aldrich, you definitely notice this, and but it's getting closer. And like y'all are here for like another 30 seconds, and then you start seeing like in the distance, like the same trees right in front of you that you just saw Remy climb up, and kind of like 5 to 6 trees back, you see trees start to like, and these are like thick trunk, tall trees. You start to see them violently shaking, like one after another, as like in a line, and you see like branches falling and the trees, like then branches and all the leaves shaking. And you see, I mean, y'all could take a reaction at this point because like it's gonna take like a second for this to happen. But you see like basically 4, 3, 2, 1 trees get like pushed out of the way, and then you hear Remy's voice above you in the tree that he just climbed up. He says, and he's like, this is the loudest you've ever heard his voice. He says, "Guys, it's time to start running now!" And he bursts out of the tree from within like the thick branches like above the tree, and he like lands right in the middle of y'all like in a roll, and he's already up and starting to run. And then behind him you see a massive form that this laughing that you heard earlier has been like intermittently continued as these trees have shaken, and you see this massive form jump out of the tree just behind him. And it lands just a little bit short, like in front of y'all. And it looks like this. Actually, I have the token. And everybody, as this thing lands, it like kind of like it starts off like bent over, so you can't see its full form. Remy's starting to run. Again, like, y'all are probably like startled, starting to run. So let's say y'all are right here, and y'all see this massive, like twice the size of Gin or Remy's height creature with horns, a massive line of like teeth, and it is the thing producing the laughter because it laughs as soon as it lands in the midst of y'all. And everybody roll a wisdom saving throw.
Is this against magic?
Yeah.
It's against a high-pitched laughter from a rather horrific creature, and I would say it's not magic.
There we go.
Okay, so Bud, this thing just made you shoot your pants, and you're frightened of it, and you can kind of tell that Aldrich and Darcy are standing resolute, but Gin and Remy are joining you in a similar feeling of fright, and everybody can roll initiative.
All right. What did you send a picture of it? What this thing looks like?
Can y'all see it on the map? That's like the pic. I don't think I have a closer picture. I didn't have a link to it. Can y'all see it on the map?
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
it. I'm just zooming in. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I
see it now.
can see it. Oh, okay.
Thanks.
It's like something from Doom.
All right.
Is it like a deep laughter? Or is it this? What's the laughter like?
It's like it's like getting
Good.
deeper and then going more high pitched, and kind of like y'all started to feel something when it was basically like as this creature was presumably the thing moving in the trees. You started to feel something build within you long before it hit the ground and laughed in your face, if that makes sense. Like the laughter was hitting your ears and causing something to happen. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna do a collective initiative roll, and like we're all gonna move as one unit, and this thing's gonna move as one unit because Remy and Gin and probably Bud want to fucking run. So I guess we're gonna go first. So I'm gonna say,
Wait, you're going before me?
No,
What?
we.
Oh, we. Okay, we is in the party.
yeah. So y'all could we'll take our actions all in like one turn. I mean, it's still the same initiative order, I guess. But if we wanted to, we can move collectively as like a unit, depending on what y'all wanted to do. So Darcy, would be you first.
I'm gonna cast Cause Fear on it.
Okay. What does that require?
DC 16 Wisdom saving throw.
Okay. What does cause fear look like? What do you have to do? It's like somatic, verbal. You're just sending stuff into its mind.
He goes ooga booga booga.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just verbal.
It's just verbal. Okay. So as you shout this into this thing's face, you have to look at it when you do this, I guess. You can note with your dark vision, this thing doesn't have eyes. It has teeth and horns, and it's a massive torso and arms. As you shout this thing to try to cause it fear, it looks at you with its no eyes, and it opens its mouth, and you see like smoke emanate from it, and it doesn't move an inch.
All right. I'm gonna run the fuck away.
Yeah, so kind of as y'all like stepping out into this area, you're approaching kind of what y'all were heading this way, and Remy was like under the impression that y'all needed to head this way, like continue like along this way. And
Okay.
You see kind of like you're passing over like a rocky ledge that leads down into like a pathway, and it like you can't see that far up ahead, but it looks like there's like a clearing up this direction.
Okay.
So okay.
Darcy's gonna run over there and she's gonna shout, "It's immune to fear!"
Yes, it is. All right, I guess Gin is next. Gin is going to strike it with 2 Eldritch Blasts. Eldritch Blasts.
Eldritch, yeah.
Gonna shoot Aldrich into him.
Get that +1 from that rod.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so he blasts it. These kind of happen at the same time, so I don't think he moves more than 10 feet. But you see Gin, like he's like sweating and like he's fearful, so he starts to like move a little bit before he shoots that off. But then he does, and he's able to blast this thing back a little bit. And
Wait, how much damage does Eldritch Blast do?
Yeah, should it be 1d10 per blast, or is it 2d10 per blast? Because that seemed fucking busted.
Yeah, that's rolling 2d10.
Oh yeah, no, it's 1d10 per blast. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll just do the first one. 16. So 16 damage, and yeah, you see these things like strike at it, and it looks like it gets damaged, like its laugh gets cut off for a moment as this thing gets hit by this force damage. And then I'll say Remy would go next. Remy has his bow drawn. He's going to run backwards, same direction that Darcy went, and shoot off some shots. So Gin is going to get right next to you. Aldrich is going to get right next to Darcy, kind of all y'all sticking together, and he's going to fire a couple of shots off. One of them hits, and he does solid damage. He's able to get like an arrow, thunk it in its chest, and then I guess it would be Bud's turn.
Haven't I already run? That doesn't make me move back. I was feared.
No, you just can't move closer to
You
it.
can't move
Oh,
closer
okay.
to it, and attacks have disadvantage.
Okay.
I guess I should have had disadvantage on both of those.
Damn.
Okay, he still hits. I think Remy has disadvantage as well. Yeah, one of them still hits. They rolled really well. Okay, so yeah, it's your turn, Bud.
I'm gonna move back towards the group and just turn around and fire a firebolt.
Okay, that has disadvantage.
Yep. Oh, critical one.
Aldrich has to like duck out of the way as this firebolt like goes awry and almost hits him in the back.
Sorry.
Bud, watch out. It's me. I'm not. Don't be scared of me, Bud. My turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to move next to Bud. I'm gonna cast Ray of Frost on it.
Okay.
I don't have disadvantage, right? Because I'm not feared.
Nope. All right, that's a hit. 8 damage.
And
So-
movement would be slowed by 10 as
Yep.
well.
So you see it. It takes this. The ice takes effect. It definitely feels like it's slowed, but it keeps chugging along and it's laughing. And now it is going to go. So what is the distance? You see it like it gets down on all fours. Bud and Aldrich, you can see this better. Remy again are kind of like looking the other way as they're sprinting away. It gets on all fours, and you see it like gets in almost like a frog stance, and then leaps this full distance to close the gap right here. And it lands right before you and then steps up, and it's going to attack Bud and Aldrich separately with its claws, its huge like arms. But kind of like as it leaps and lands right next to you all, like the ground like shudders with like its weight. This thing is massive. It's like 8 feet tall. All right, Aldrich, you are going to take 13 damage from one of its claws striking you.
Oof. Jeez.
And it continues to laugh, but its laughs are at this point like a little bit shorter, and the big bellowy guttural chortle that kind of caused everyone to, or at least some people, to duck and run is not the thing that it released at that point. And Darcy, would be your turn again.
Okay. Did Bud take damage?
Bud. So like the other claw at Bud just missed entirely. It wasn't even close.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. All right. This thing's hitting pretty hard. Darcy is going to turn about, seeing Aldrich get hit, and stand her ground, and she's going to cast Bestow Curse.
Okay. So what is that? Wisdom?
Yeah.
So do you have to choose like what the curse will be before or after?
I don't know, but I'm choosing the make a saving throw at the start of each of its turns. Oh wait. Oh no, never mind, dude. This is This is a touch spell. I didn't realize that. I would have taken a different spell.
That is a
Okay.
touch spell. I just opened it. I'm reading what you can do with it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I will resolve that
That's high risk, high reward.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. Darcy's gonna fucking step up to the plate. She's gonna walk up here and she's gonna fucking touch the thing and try to bestow a curse on it.
Okay.
And so at the start of its turn, it has to make a wisdom saving throw. Otherwise, it wastes its action doing nothing.
That's the curse you're choosing. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, this thing, as you like kind of approach it and you see it like kind of committing acts of violence upon the group, you can like get a closer read of like its movements and stuff. And this thing is not done. What does it have to beat? 16? Okay, so you see this thing, it kind of like, its body shudders, and it would have been affected by that, but it kind of in a similar manner, I guess not in a similar manner with the fear, where like it just kind of laughed in your face. This thing looks down at you with violence in its not eyes, with violence in its horns, but your curse doesn't take effect.
Does this thing have fucking legendary resistance? Jesus Christ. Okay. Alright, well, I'm done. Actually, no, I'm not done. I'm gonna Misty Step the fuck away.
Okay. It's a bonus action.
Yeah.
It's up to 30 feet.
Yeah, we go that way. Bam.
Okay, and then you're done?
Yep.
Alright, so you kind of see more of the clearing up ahead. So now you are like kind of in the midst of it. So basically, yeah, like the trees clear out. There's some like broken logs, and there's not as much forestry in this area. So that's what you see, and it's Gin's turn. Gin is going to continue running. He's going to get right next to you, and then he's going to shoot Okay. So you see Gin, he's like runs this direction, and as he does, you see him kind of like gaining back some of his courage faculties, you might say, and he's gonna make another attack on this creature. Double Eldritch Blast. Whew. And both of those blasts you see hit it, and it kind of just fights it off with its forearms, and it doesn't seem to take effect. And Aldrich and Bud, you don't see it move back at all. Gin is done. You see Remy continue to run. He's going to make a roll. You see him also is able to break out of his frighten and shoot a couple more arrows at this thing. One of them hits, and he does some more solid damage to this thing. You see the bow he's using is like this, like kind of in the picture. It's not that bow. It's like a white, really finely crafted. You would probably guess that it looks magical. And one of these arrows hits, and Bud, it would be your turn.
Fuck. I'm gonna cast Thunderwave.
If you didn't move from your current position, you would hit Aldrich with that.
Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
You could move.
I can move to the
right
others.
here.
Go and hit him right here, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let me make sure that's what I want to do. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'll shift to the side and cast Thunderwave.
Okay, that's a Constitution.
Yes. Yeah, 14.
Okay. That you see this thing kind of like brace itself for this, and it gets blasted back 10 feet, and you can roll damage on that. As
Okay.
this electricity courses through its body and causes it to move backwards.
Nice.
Good shit. Darcy's burned a bunch of spell slots and done nothing. Everybody else is doing some good stuff.
Okay, so this thing,
Can I take a... Can you split movement?
yeah. You can.
Okay. I'm gonna move back up towards the group.
Okay. All right, Aldrich, your turn. If you're done.
I will move here, and I want to cast Gust of Wind towards the creature.
Okay. So what is that? You can draw it on there, and then what is the save? Strength or Constitution?
Yeah. So each creature that starts the turn in the line must succeed on a Strength saving throw or be pushed 15 feet.
Okay. So it once it starts.
And then
its turn.
it's
Okay.
yeah, and then they have to spend 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot we're moving towards. And
Okay.
yeah, I'll
so
draw
its
something.
turn is going to start after you're done.
I already
Sure.
forgot about the extra damage with Illustrious Grasp. I need to like burn that into my memory.
What is your DC?
Those are
15.
fucking items.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I
So
have it.
if you're done and it's starting its
That's
turn,
the same thing.
you see
Yeah.
this gust of wind blast against it, and it like holds up its forearms, and it almost seems like it was ready for it based on the other thing that just tried to move it and succeeded. So you don't see it get moved back immediately, but it's in this gust of wind as it. I guess how did you angle it?
So it's 10 feet. I'm trying to. I mean, it's difficult to draw. I was going to angle it like this, roughly.
Okay. So you see it kind of sees this resistance, and it's gonna turn this way, and you see it leap again, covering some rather terrifying amount of distance, and it kind of like monkey limb grabs the branches of this tree, ripping it off as it does, as like its intense weight hits this tree, and it kind of like lands right here with the assistance of the tree, and then moves up a little bit, and you hear that familiar laughing guttural sound as it kind of permeates your ears, and you're faced with your innate instinctual fight or flight reactions in your monkey brains. So roll me another wisdom saving throw as it kind of approaches, and just in general as you see this thing like making its movements along the trees and through this kind of like forest that's like turning to marshland, like Darcy's up ahead kind of, and like Remy can see it, is you see that like this might be considered like difficult terrain in some areas. Y'all have mostly been able to avoid it, but this thing is moving through the trees and through the brambles and through this like the start of this marshy terrain rather easily, all the while laughing and salivating. So Darcy and Aldrich, y'all are both frightened, and
Okay.
but I guess you are as well if you rolled a 6.
Yep.
And Gin is somehow staves it off, barely. Remy is also pissing himself. So everybody except for Gin is frightened. So Remy continues. He's just like, we have to keep running. He's like, the portal's still this way. We'll have to figure out I don't know. Let's just keep running.
What the fuck are we gonna do when we get to the portal? We're
Exactly.
gonna be between this thing and a portal to the infernal plane.
He's like, we'll try to lose it. We can double back. We have to get out of range of where it can see us. This would be Remy saying this. And y'all can roll natures if you want for knowing what this thing is. So Darcy and Aldrich, you kind of gather this, Darcy, from what you tried to use fear on it. This thing looks like a fiend, and you don't know any more than that, honestly, even with those rolls. But you know that fiends are immune to certain things like fear, necrotic damage, because they dish out necrotic damage a lot of the time. It's just based on like the look of this thing, you can tell like this is its native like land based on how it moved and how it looks, and it's a predator here, probably an alpha predator, and it likes to laugh, obviously. But you don't know anything about this. So top of the order again, it'd be Darcy's turn.
Okay.
I'll put a token on Gin to show that he's not frightened, because everybody else is.
Well, did you say I knew it was immune to necrotic damage or resistant?
I mean, you don't know. It's definitely one of those.
Okay. All right. Darcy's not a lot of use in this situation. I guess I'll hit it with a ray of sickness. Actually, no, I'm fucking frightened. Do I repeat the wisdom saving throw at the end of my turn?
Yeah. End of each successive turn.
Okay. I'm just gonna toll the dead.
Okay. It's got to make a wisdom. What's your DC?
16.
No, it narrowly does not pass. So it takes half of that.
Okay. And I'm going to continue running. Am I moving into difficult terrain over here?
No, that's the clearing. So that's like...
Okay, I'll go there.
Okay, it's Gin's turn. Gin, you see running. He's going to fire 2 more shots at it, just trying to create distance. And you see both of those hit, and that does very solid damage. This thing is looking haggard at this point. Push back 10 feet. Remy is going to fan out this way, kind of covering a little bit more ground. Going to fire 2 more arrows. Now it's like 90.
I thought it was 60, but I could be wrong.
Is it 60?
I can look at mine.
Depends on the bow.
Yeah, it depends.
Like longbows, I think are 60, 120.
Longbow is 150, according to this.
Is it?
600 if you're doing like a long shot, but it has disadvantage. Longbows are ridiculous.
Damn, okay.
Okay, so he fires 2 arrows, but he's kind of like on the run. I guess he gets disadvantage anyways, but both of those already miss. So his arrows go awry.
There's my wisdom saving throw, Bill, and I forgot to make it.
Okay, yeah, you're no longer frightened. Remy will do the same, and he is still frightened. So, Bud, it'd be your turn.
I'm gonna move this way to the edge of firebolt range, and I'm gonna cast firebolt. Or no, I get firebolt's 120, so it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna move up here.
Okay, that's made with disadvantage.
Yep. Oh.
Damn. Okay. That's the second firebolt. That's the second firebolt that almost starts a forest fire and just misses by a long shot.
Just let it hit Ultra. I deserve it. He doesn't deserve it.
You rolled the 20 as well, so I feel like
Yeah.
maybe you rolled 2 ones.
Balances out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Aldridge should be your turn.
I will move this way. As a bonus action, I'm going to redirect my wind to go whichever.
Can you move it on the axis and like move it?
Well, I didn't. I mean, because I'm rotating it, and it wasn't. So I was here. Move 25 up. I was here. That's where I cast it before. This is annoying.
Okay, I get what you're saying. You're gonna have it point at it, and it's gonna have to.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
That's a bonus action. So I'm
Oh.
gonna move and attack. I'm gonna firebolt.
Yep. Roll me
Disadvantage.
a disadvantage, but you can roll your wisdom saving throw to see if you're still frightened. That narrowly does not hit Aldridge. And then y'all can roll your wisdoms.
14.
Okay.
That misses.
But you're still frightened, Aldridge. You are no longer frightened.
Sweet.
So now you see what happens, and I already rolled it. It takes the gust, and it's going to sidestep it. You see it once again, like it's able to shield itself, and it's on all 4s again. And you see it kind of like digging in its legs, even from this distance. And you see it, and this is kind of coinciding with the start of Darcy's next turn. Darcy, roll as everyone is like watching this thing kind of like dig in its legs, almost like a sprinter preparing to, and like you see it as it's like bent down, it's like kind of coughing up blood, and it's no longer laughing. As you're witnessing this, Darcy, roll me a wisdom check.
Oh wait. Also, the wind stays with me.
Woo!
What do you mean?
I thought it was so.
Damn,
It's a
they're
concentration spell, and it's saying that it. Well, I'm seeing different things. I guess I'll leave it up to you. I mean,
What do you mean it stays with you? Like you can continue to control it on subsequent turns? Like I thought that's how.
Yes, but I mean, the question I was concerned with is, does it stay in that same point? Because I mean, it's kind of like the gust is originating from me, and I can redirect it as a bonus action. It's concentration, but I don't know if it would just stay in that location or if it would stay on me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. I mean, what does it say? What is it called? Gust?
There's nothing specific that says it on Gust Wind. It just says as a bonus action on each of your turns before the spell ends, you can change the direction in which the line blasts from you.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now, and it seems like it stays like emanating from the caster.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it, I was like, well, why? It doesn't make sense if it would just sit like at the origin of where I cast it before, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure, because it doesn't explicitly say. I mean, I could easily see it sticking, like, and just blasting out of your hand as you, like, walk around. But I could also see you just cast, like, a wind stream and then, like, leave it in a location.
Look up other...
Regardless of if it's on you or it's in this location, it's not going to change what it just did, which was like it was able to resist and then it just sidestepped out of that 10-foot range and it's going to advance away from that.
Okay, sure.
Darcy, you kind of notice up ahead as you're like further along, you see kind of first you hear the voice of the entity within the Verislas speak to you telepathically. And I mean, I don't know how often this happens, but probably not often, and it's speaking in a tenor at this point that's like pretty serious and it's trying to get your attention. And culminating with it saying that you notice that up ahead there's like a kind of like what looks like a sinkhole up in this location. And as you're like looking at it, this voice rings out and you start to see the air around this area up ahead and even like closer to you start to like shimmer and appear as if it's changing and the air is moving in a way that doesn't really make sense. And you hear the Verislas say, "Child, open your eyes." And as this is spoken, you kind of open your third eye, so to speak, your third eye of true sight, and you see kind of like the reality of your position. And Aldrich, Bud, again, also kind of experienced this in the, like physically not experiencing your like little true sight revelation, that the ground like kind of at your feet you realize is not so stable and is kind of shifting in a way that like is making you move about. And Darcy, you see yourself and the people near you, pretty much everyone, even Remy in his situation or his position. Y'all are all kind of like the earth below you is almost like going away and falling into a deeper like ravine in the earth, kind of cutting off like right here. And you glance down and you see like this field of, and all this is happening, while this is happening, this creature is making its charge. Like this is happening while y'all are realizing that like the ground is shifting. This thing is doing all four like dog run towards you with its horns out and looking to try to plunge into Bud. Again, y'all realize this is happening and you start to like fall into something. And Darcy, you can clearly see, nobody else can, but Darcy, you see that what y'all are falling into is a big pile of what looks like bones. And as you fall into this area, Darcy, you kind of get a look at the area around as like this reality kind of shimmers away and is replaced by a new one in which you see this sunken field of red earth in some areas burning, and you see a rather ridiculous scene before you of a lot of activity. I'm about to click a reveal area and everything.
Oh god.
And you see in the circle, but there's bones just before you. Everybody kind of lands in them. Y'all are shocked back to like, okay, we're no longer standing in this clearing in like a forest, and you're landing in sharp and this pile of bones. And you see, Darcy, the field before you that's red and burning in some areas, and there's various entities moving about, but you notice immediately kind of like as you make your landing and you can make sense that there's this circle in the middle which there's fire emanating from. That's clearly in the sign of the pentagram. And then all of the creatures that are out in the field moving about are all scattering outwards towards the edge of the circle. And that's like very clear. Like all these things in their various positions are moving outward in unison. And the 5, or rather 6 figures in the center are all facing forward. They have red cloaks on. They're chanting. And you can see their red cloaks are all, everyone except for the guy at the head over here. All of these red cloaked individuals, the 5, are burning. They're all on fire, but they're standing in place and chanting. And as y'all make your descent into these bones, roll me a Constitution saving throw as you strike these fucking bones. Okay, so you see Gin kind of take like a harder fall, but he doesn't do much. I mean, y'all don't. It's not that long of a fall. It's kind of more startling than it is, and just the fact that these bones are kind of not intact. It's like pieces of femurs and skulls, and they're kind of shattered and chipped in various locations. And then y'all can roll me a like general perception on everything. Darcy kind of saw everything before you, and it was a little bit more clear, but everybody else can roll as well as you kind of glance about for a second. Aldrich, and I'm going to say Darcy, you noticed this as well because you got a pretty clear look. Y'all notice that these creatures that are moving about, like various sizes, they look of all kinds. They are 100% fiends, and I'll say Aldrich, you can tell that they're mostly devils, and they certainly, given where you know you were going, these things come from the infernal plane. And Darcy and Aldrich, you also both notice as you kind of like land in this pile and you're kind of forced to look up a little bit as well. The sky is no longer the full dark, no stars, full moon, normal night sky you saw before. It is now a great, roiling, stormy sky of red clouds and red lightning and what sounds like the sounds of screams as the lightning and roiling clouds move about. And the moon is still there, partially covered by these clouds, but it is blood red. And soon after landing within this pile of bones, the whole group hears a familiar sound of bellowing laughter behind you, and the horrific figure also you see dropping down into y'all's midst. As you're like all sitting here, it lands and just blasts back everyone in the bones, and y'all are kind of all scattered in different directions. I'm going to say like that previous Constitution save will be part of this, so y'all aren't going to take any damage, but you do get repositioned as this thing's now standing in the midst of all these bones. And with all of this commotion, y'all do notice that the red-cloaked individuals and some of these little devil creatures near you turn and do regard you. And as these bones are strewn about and this heavy creature lands and causes all this ruckus and sound, the red-cloaked individuals in the center of near the pentagram, they all turn to you. Their eyes are glowing red. You can clearly see their mouths are grinning. And this horrific creature once again raises off of all fours to stand on 2 legs in the center of what used to be this bone pile, and it continues to laugh. And everybody roll initiative.
Are we rolling initiative?
I'm going to say yes, because that was chase initiative, and this is now a different kind of initiative.
Well, this didn't go nearly as planned.
I thought we got away from that bitch. He's right on our tail still.
I thought we were
He's
gonna
on our
off-
side.
You can almost tell like it fell in and then like it landed like kind of belly flopped in the skulls as well, as if it didn't know where it was for a moment as it glances around, but then it starts to laugh as it sees its prey is still in its midst. Okay, so where we left off, Bud is still feared. I wrote that down because that was why that little symbol's there. So you're still feared by let's call it the horror from the Elderwood that was chasing y'all. Darcy realized through the magic of the Varys laws that there was something here that was being blocked by some kind of magic, which allowed the true sight imbued through, that's like a daily or encounter power with the Varys laws, got her to witness and see basically the entrance to the Hellmouth, and everybody kind of was running away from this creature as it like sprung towards you, and then Remy, Aldrich, Bud, Gin, and Darcy all fell into this pile of bones, essentially, and you saw before you this like red and burning landscape that was pretty wide with just a variety of fiends and creatures spread out, running different directions, pretty much all moving, you could tell, away from the center of this circle. And in the center there was 5 burning cultists and another figure in the back that kind of looked differently, and the cultists are all burning and chanting. And y'all are kind of all spread out after this. This creature also charged its way in. That y'all damaged a lot at this point. Y'all saw it bleeding from multiple wounds, and it like kind of coughed up some blood before it chased you in here. And you heard its familiar laughter as it also jumped into this area and landed in the bones, kind of knocked everybody back and started laughing, seeing that its prey was still within its reach, but then also now has entered this fray. And basically this commotion of all y'all entering has caused the cultists to turn and look at you. Their eyes are glowing red, they're smiling, and all the little devils and fiends and other creatures that are scattered about the area are also looking at you at this point. They stop their motion. It's kind of like you walked in on something. So that's where we're at. You hear, I guess we're in initiative order, so Gen's gonna go first, but you hear Remy say, he like gets up looking around, he has his bow drawn. He's like, I'm detecting the portal. And
no shit, Sherlock.
And he says, it was right here. I should have been able to detect it with more accuracy. Some kind of magic was hiding it. And he looks to Gen. Gen kind of nods to him, and Darcy, you kind of there's a moment whenever all of you are here and you see Gen getting up from everybody that's kind of like knocked on their ass. Gen's getting up. I'm not going to say y'all are prone and like have to waste your movement that way, but it's just everybody was kind of staggered. And you kind of have a similar moment to whenever y'all first re-entered S-Lock earlier this same day, whenever you noticed that creature that had like struck you and Gen, you knew it was in the city, and you had this like feeling. You have a similar feeling in the sense that like you can detect that Gen just experienced something like just now in this moment that is like causing his mind to race, and he's had a realization, and it's inexplicable why you know that, but you know it's related to the fact that you felt kind of his similar mindset whenever y'all in S-Lock, and it's related somehow to what that creature both did to you. Is you know that in this moment right now. You see Gen kind of like shake it off, and he points to Remy. He says, Remy, focus your fire on the cultists, use the light of that bow. Darcy, Bud, Aldrich, protect yourselves, stay away from the circle, don't let these flames touch you. And you see him start to like move up here onto the bones a little bit, and he casts, he's going to cast Hex on this creature. And then I think it's time for Dissonant Whispers. Okay, so y'all all see this creature get affected psychically by what Gen just did to it. Okay, so it takes some solid damage, and it is immediately going to use its reaction to rush away. So you see it barrel past you, Aldrich, but it's moving, it's running on all fours and just snarling and laughing the whole way. It's going to get to right about there.
Do they get attack of opportunity?
Yeah, theoretically you would, depending on what y'all are wielding. So whatever weapon you're wielding, you get an attack of opportunity on it.
My hands.
That will not be only damage.
Bud's gonna unarmed strike.
Because I think the unarmed strike is like Constitution or Strength modifier. It would do 1 damage.
The damage that. The damage is actually just.
I think it might heal it. It would be like 1 minus 2, so it would be +1 health.
It'd be a slap on the butt. It'd get him
a little bit of morale. So this guy is going to go next. If Aldrich, were you going to attack it?
No, I don't think I had a dagger out. I have my staff. If I'm gonna whack it with my staff. I don't know what that would do though in terms of damage.
You can 100%. Yeah, is it a quarterstaff?
No, it's just a staff. It's like an arcane focus staff.
Okay. Yeah, you put your focus on your staff itself. So I guess you would see, in general, like this cultist is going, but what you see during the time that he would be going is something begins to like emanate, and it's like flames begin to encircle, and there's more animation in the pit right here, and you see something begin to like draw forth from it in the sense that there's like meat and matter circling around within the flames, and something is forming, and this cultist is chanting something in Infernal. And you could roll me an intelligence check to know if it's Infernal, and then if you speak Infernal, you would just know it's Infernal. If any of y'all do. I don't think Dim does. So Aldridge, you would know it's Infernal, but if you don't speak it, you wouldn't know what they're saying, but it's very easy to see that they're like performing something, a summoning of some kind, and now there's a large, several man-sized creature emanating from the center of this portal. And it would be Remy's turn, and you're going to see him. He's going to move up here, kind of get out of line of sight with you, Aldrich, and he's going to draw his bow back and fire some shots. Having this many like tabs open in Chrome is devastating. Yeah, so you see his bow as he's kind of like shooting it in this moment. You can see that it's like shining with like light, and you already knew it's magical based on kind of its craftsmanship, but you can see it a different effect at this point. He's gonna fire 2 shots at this cultist at the head right here. One of them's gonna hit solid damage.
Sorry, what did the cultist do?
One of the cultists went, I mean, it was like they're all kind of going at the same time. They just, in the time that they were going, you saw something begin to form in the center of the circle.
Okay. And he's shooting this one?
Yeah, he's shooting just the one that's closest to him. He fired 2 shots at it. One of them hit. The cultist like goes down to one knee with an arrow in its back, and it's still chanting through gritted teeth. But that looked like it was a solid scoring hit. And then Remy would move a little bit more, and he walks up right next to you, Aldridge, or like not right next to you, but like he's at the same level as you. Stands. He's kind of getting in between you and the creature, and you see him pull back his hood, and you see like his face, who like had kind of been in shadow the whole time. Like whenever y'all met at the bar and like walking with him, he's been like just in battle mode the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Gin didn't really say anything about him as far as like, oh, this is like my elven or my human friend, but he appeared human. But whenever he pulls back his hood, you can see he's like bald, and his skin is like very. It looks like he takes good care of his skin. It's like this golden, perfect hue, and you see his eyes are glowing. And you can roll me a intelligence check to see if you know what this is. He looks like, and you probably haven't seen many of these. He looks like he's an Aasimar, which is individuals who, I think better Pokédex this, but essentially they have like the blood, like celestial blood in them.
Aragorn. They basically Aragorn.
They're like angelic in their features, and you see him, his eyes are glowing. He pulls his hood back after firing those 2 shots. He looks to the creature, he looks to the portal and the fires around it, and he says, under his breath kind of, but you can hear it, Aldridge, "This is fate." And then Darcy, would be your turn.
All right. Darcy's going to step back over here and cast Toll the Dead on the same one that Homeboy hit, that Remy shot.
Okay, on the cultist. Has to beat a
Wow.
16. Okay, it does not beat 8 damage. All right, that, you see the cultist, like, body's racked with pain, and he drops. He's down. And you see the other cultists turn and look at you, and they continue vigorously doing their work.
I look at Aldrich and I shout, "Aldrich, that's 1 for me!"
Is the thing between Remy and the horror?
That's his xenomorph, yeah.
Okay. Is it? Is it like? Is it just standing there? Does it look like it's gonna harm us?
I mean, y'all kind of all did like a check and could clearly see these things based on where you knew you were going and kind of correlating information you had. These things appear to be devils from the infernal plane, and they're all kind of moving in unison, and it looked like they're all like heading towards the outer end of the circle, and in different intervals, different sizes, all different kind looking creatures also. And as far as like what that creature looks like it's intending to do, it's running this direction.
Okay. I want to cast Fireball. Not Fireball. Firebolt. Bolt, yeah. The single target one on this guy.
Okay. We'll roll me an attack.
Are they... Okay, wait. Let me... based on the image, are they like fire?
They're all on fire. I thought I said that, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do a Rare Frost.
They're all on fire, and they all have their hands over a portal of fire, and there's fire in intermittent places all around this. And
I'm zoomed really far out, so I can't see. And I was like, "Is that fire?" I couldn't tell.
Everything that you can
icons.
see, and above you in the sky, are clouds of fire, and there's a landscape of fire, and there's a lot of fire.
Yeah, I caught myself.
Okay. All right, that's a hit. Solid damage. I guess that's not solid damage considering how much that could have done. Yeah, so that Ray of Frost hits clean. Looks like it annoys this guy, but he stays at it.
I'm going to back up just a wee bit, and I'm going to drink a health potion from a bonus action.
Okay. Are you drinking that special health potion?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it slows the group. Everybody's slow. No, but it's your
I'll
turn.
die.
Well, fuck.
That'd be the end of the party.
All right, you gain solid 8 health. What were you at before? Yeah. Okay.
I'm still feared, right?
Yes, you're feared by this creature, the horror that was chasing you. You can roll to break that with another wisdom at the end of your turn.
Okay. Well, I got a lot of fire abilities. I'll cast Mage Armor, and then, Mage Armor, and then, roll Wisdom?
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, so you're no longer feared. You're able to shake loose of this creature's rather horrific spell upon you.
Okay.
And now this creature is going to go. Okay, so it is going to... You see it like took note whenever Remy was firing his like arrows of kind of glowing light, and it is going to charge directly at him and directly through this xenomorph. Okay, so yeah, you see it barrels forward, kind of running through this creature that's trying to get out of the way towards Remy, and you see it knocks this creature directly back a little bit, and it goes prone, and you see it gets damaged by it, and then it gets to Remy, and kind of it runs out of steam and doesn't hit him with really that much force, and Remy's able to like block it kind of just with his body, and this creature is knocked prone over here, and it calls out this rather horrific cry, and the creature from the Elderwood, this horned tall monstrosity, gets up on all four and kind of like looms over Remy, but it's no longer laughing, and you can see it's still bleeding from several wounds. Next. So you see this figure, the cape and the hammer, he starts walking directly through, or not directly between, but like directly through like the center part of this portal. The flames lick around him. He seems entirely unbothered, and he's going to get right here. Y'all can roll Bud and Aldrich. Y'all can roll me perception. Aldrich, you can roll it with advantage because of reasons. Okay, then Bud. I guess Bud wasn't there. But Aldrich, he's like within distance now to where you can see. I mean, he's dressed differently, but this appears to be the very same dwarf. It's a dwarven male wearing armor-clad, red armor, red cape. He has this huge hammer he's carrying in both hands. He just walked through the flames of this portal. He stops right here, and it looks like he's starting to cast a spell. And taking note of that, you can tell this is the same person that was in the tavern that told you about the Hellmouth. His name, you remember, was Hazeltine.
That was the guy like teaching the kids.
Ovaltine.
Famous golf.
Ovaltine, yeah. He was telling it to like a lot of kids to try to scare him, but you could tell, you remembered that there was other like adventurers kind of on the outskirts, like you were like listening in as like a rumor, and he kind of had the attention of a large contingent. Okay, so you see him like lift his hammer up, and this red light kind of engulfs him, and he appears ready to to fight as he looks over to y'all and sees intruders over here. This cultist is going to go next. You see him continue to chant. This cultist is going to go next, and at this point, you would begin to see that the longer this time is taking, and the more cultists are kind of getting in on the action. This like large humanoid creature is forming, and it appears to have like kind of like red armored or like scales on it, and it's not the size of like a giant. It's smaller than a giant, but it's like a larger than like several men. It's basically the same size as this creature from the Elderwood, but it's red and it's forming within this flaming circle, and you begin to see it form to this extent that you now see something in the middle. This one is going to go, and you see him actually, he steps away from the circle from at least where he was standing, and you see him put out his hands, and you see a cone of fire burst forth from it, engulfing both the laughing creature and Remy. Both of them are going to get hit with fire, engulfing them. So you see Remy is not quite able to jump out of the way, but he still appears to be okay. And this guy is dead. So at this point, you would see dude, this is like annoying. This little like this little circle that I bought to like roll dice in, it keeps landing on the edge, and like I have to re-roll. It's terrible.
It's always cocked.
Yeah, like it's always it goes. It's almost like the center is like convex or something, and it's like going to the outer edges, and then once it gets to the outer edge, it gets Okay, so this guy. So you see at this point, all of the creatures that were moving, you see them move further out. Everything continues running, and some of them reach the edge. Some of them have wings, and you see them fly off into the red clouds above. Some of them you see begin to root through the bones and just kind of disappear within them. Some of them you see are able to climb out of like kind of a 20-foot like drop, and they climb on the dirt on the outside, and they're able to get out of the portal. But it's very clear that everything is moving out and away. And this creature is now, you see it kind of, the flames stop emanating around it, and it kind of was suspended in air, and you see its feet drop onto the earth and the flames around it, and you hear it bellow, "Asmodeus, grant me breath once more." It's in the game now. Can y'all see its name?
Infernal Spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you can roll me, y'all could roll me nature if you wanted to like do a better job of seeing.
Oh, that wasn't nature.
Yep, that wasn't nature.
Darcy, you know that this thing, based on its size and its appearance, it looks like what you'd expect from like an ogre, like a large ogre. But it's very clear that it's just spawned from the infernal plane. It literally just said Asmodeus. So you know it's an infernal ogre. You've never heard of anything like that, but that's the context you could put together. And it would be Gin's turn again. What is Gin going to do? Gin going to roll. So he's going to move forward a little bit. And he would say to you, Bud and Darcy and Aldrich, all nearby, speaking mostly to y'all, does anybody have any radiant damage? And then you see him, he's going to target the creature that just spawned. He has his eyes on it as he says this, with radiant sacred flame. And it's sacred flame is kind of like, it emanates from the circle he just came from, and it's up to him to dodge out of the way of it, is kind of how this works, and is not able to. So he's going to roll a little bit of damage. Woo! Holy shit, that's max damage. Oh, God. And whenever you see this this radiant flame start to emanate, kind of replacing the infernal flames around it, and he literally just set foot on the ground, said, "And Asmodeus, grant me breath." You see this sacred flame start to emanate around him, and he's like, "Ah, fuck!" And it seems to do a lot more damage than what it was, even a more powerful sacred flame than you would normally see. So Gin kind of fist pumps. He's like, "I knew it." So that does just an obscene amount of damage upon this obscene creature. You see this guy run forward. He's going to get to about right here. And you see him put both of his hands out. And he says, "This is for Asmodeus." But it's an infernal. You only hear the Asmodeus part. And then Bud, Gin, and depending on where Root is, I mean, you could say Root's flying around, I guess. It's like Root on your shoulder. Is Root kind of surveying the battlefield? They're like, everyone in this circle is going to roll a dexterity saving throw. But definitely Bud and Gin. You are going to take 6 damage, Bud. and again, it's going to take 3 damage. But you notice something whenever you get hit with this fire. You've probably been hit with fire magic before. These flames tend to, like, after you get hit by this, they don't really go away. Like, you continue burning even if the flame isn't there, and you feel worse than you would if this was a normal, what looked like a Burning Hands attack. I don't know if you know Burning Hands or not, but you probably know what Burning Hands looks like.
No.
And you know that, like, if you don't do something to, like, stop this from burning, it's not gonna go away on its own. And you can roll me an intelligence or a medicine check to, like, get more details on that. But it'll be Remy's turn. What all can this guy do?
Yeah, I'll go in 13.
Yeah, so you know that you would need to obviously cast a healing spell, use a healing potion, or you could just assess it yourself and try to use, like, your knowledge of medicine. That would probably be taken with disadvantage. That would be something you could try to just stop it using, like, medicinal knowledge. But
Okay.
sans, like, a healing effect, this is gonna chip away at your health. This fire.
What is the surface of the floor?
What's that?
Can I bury myself again?
You could try. This is just like soil, so yes, it theoretically could be dug up, but that might take a while to dig down deep enough to where you could like in the 6 seconds you have on your turn, that would be something you knew would take longer than that.
Bud's a proficient digger.
We would let the dice decide how proficient in this moment he is, as he has this napalm on him. Infernal
Okay.
napalm, as we'll say. Okay. So you see Remy go, and you see kind of like some additional light start to emanate, like an aura of light emanates around him, and you see him like deftly just move out of the space near this demonic creature, and this thing, he's moving so quickly and like with this light at his back that it doesn't strike at him, and you see him move all the way over here to where he's near you, Bud, and he has 2 arrows already drawn as he runs over here, and he fires both of them at this cleric that just shot at y'all. And he's going to give one of those attacks advantage.
How big are his fucking arrows?
Normal sized arrows. Both of these are going to score hits. And you see one of them, like the arrows are like 1-2. They're kind of like not traveling in direct parallel. One of them is like seems empowered by additional light. And yeah, this guy, so the first one hits him, knocks him back a little bit. He kind of gets forced back, and then the second one just hits him in the eye, and he just drops like nothing. That would have killed something much stronger than that. Those 2 shots, and you see Remy turn back to you, Bud, and to Root, and he says, "This is my destiny. These are the foes I was meant to face, and they're natural enemies. It's fate." And he seems to indicate that the creature from the Elderwood, he's pointing to that, and then he points to the Infernal Spawn. He kind of indicates that that's what he's talking about. And Darcy, would be your turn.
All right. Darcy is going to cast. Darcy's going to cast Shatter right here. It
Okay.
should hit this cultist, Hazeltine, and the Infernal Spawn.
Okay, that's a con.
Yep.
So you see, like just immediately, you see this cultist get hit by it, and he just gets wiped out. He's gone. His head explodes with fire, and his cloak continues to burn, but you know that he's now out of the picture. He rolled a natural 1. Yeah. So you see neither of them are able to save. They take the full brunt of it.
Yeah, Eldritch, that's 2. And I'm going to take another step back. And that's my turn.
Okay. Aldridge, it'll be your turn.
What's the status of the horror?
It just got hit by that same fire that Remy got hit by, so you know that it's burning, it's bleeding. Based on what y'all did to it and what it's happened so far, it's like barely alive.
I'm gonna move here. So Hazeltine's on fire. And he's coming at us.
Hazeltine, the cultists are on fire. Hazeltine, you saw walk through the fire, but he's not on fire.
Okay. I want to cast. Let's do Magic Missile on Hazeltine.
Okay, roll me that.
And then, while I'm casting, I also want to say, be sure to drink your Ovaltine when I'm firing it.
I'm DM hammering that. That's not.
Damn.
Okay, 7 damage.
Critical ones.
So you see these magical bolts like strike at him, and they like fleck off of his armor, and it looks like it did something to him, but it didn't do very much. He's wearing heavy armor. He appears to be, based on, oh yeah, I'll just give you this because it's pretty clear, based on what he just did and the nature of his armor and like the spell you saw him cast last turn. He looks like he's like a cleric, and he has heavy armor on, and he's a darker cleric than you'd normally see. Like as far as where he's emanating his magic from, seems pretty clear. But it'd be your turn if you're done, Aldrich.
Yeah.
Well, so I need to put my. I'll take a regular potion.
Okay.
Does that automatically stop?
So I'm going to say at the start of your turn, you're going to take an additional 2 damage of burning, and then you can take your turn. So you take 2 more, and then once you take this potion, you know that like that is going to counteract this burning.
Okay. 2, 4 plus 2. Okay. 8.
Okay, so you gain 8 health back, and you're no longer. And then you could still take your movement or like a bonus action after doing that.
That is my action is potion. I always thought that was.
No, you can take an action, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move. Oh shit. Yeah, I'm gonna move back over here and cast Chill Touch at the Infernal Spawn.
Okay, it's an attack roll.
Yep. Oi. Woo!
That is it. Obviously.
Nice.
So what is that damage?
2d8.
16 damage. Okay. So, yeah, this chill is especially chilly. And, you see it take additional damage from it. And then it also, what does that mean? It can't heal?
Yeah.
Wow. It's incredibly timely because it is its turn. And what you see it do, it kind of like feels this chilly aura around it.
It also has disadvantage on all attack rolls. If it's assuming this thing is undead.
Yes, if it's undead.
This thing is not undead.
Oh, okay.
It looks like it's a fiend. So you see it steps forth, and it reaches down and picks up the body of this cultist. And you see it just rip his torso off in his mouth and starts to consume it. And you see it kind of like sit there for a moment as it does this. And it becomes enraged that something didn't happen that it expected to happen. And then it's going to use the rest of its movement and charge what just levied a lot of attacks on it, mainly Bud and Gin in this area. So, I'll roll. Okay, so you see it charges directly at Gin and with its head down, kind of in a similar way. It has large horns. Do I have a... I think I have art for this. I didn't send it. Kind of to get a better picture of what it looks like versus how it appears on the token. So yeah, it's like kind of has spiky horns, massive, ogre-like. Doesn't really wield any weapons. It's just its horns, and its body is kind of its weapon. That's what it looks like. And this thing is head down, charging again right now, and it's going to make its attack. That is going to hit again.
Spooky boy.
Oh man, dang. Okay, so it strikes him. Gin is going to try to hold his ground. He's not gonna. And then he's gonna roll a con. And he's not gonna retain his hex either. So Gin gets knocked back 10 feet as this thing blasts into him. And you can kind of tell, like, the way he maneuvered his body, like that thing, this could have knocked him out entirely. But it still strikes a pretty good blow. He's still conscious. He lands over here in the bones. And he is prone. And then, you see this creature just roar, like small victory there as it sits here. Now you see this other creature is burning still, kind of without a way to do anything about that. What can it do? Okay, so you're going to see this horror from the Elderwood tense up its legs. It gets on all fours like you saw earlier, and it is going to leap the entire distance to the Infernal Spawn and try to land on top of it and attack it. And it like leaps over Remy. Remy kind of like ducks. He has to get out of the way. And now this thing is like almost in the same space as it, but I won't like cover them up. And I'm gonna make a couple of rolls. It's able to get there clean, and then okay, so you see this thing kind of land, and it like tries to grapple with the Infernal Spawn, and they're kind of like locked together in this bout, and you don't really see the horror kind of land any serious blows upon it. And then you're going to see Hazeltine go next, and he has something to say as he steps forth into y'all's midst. Or I guess he would have said this as he walked forth and cast his spell last turn. He says, speaking kind of like to the cultist, of which there was still, I guess, there was one more there that was still alive. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have company. Moths to the flame. They are powerful, no doubt. More meat for the thresher of the grand Hellmouth." And now, as he's walking forth into your midst, he's casting another spell, and he's going to get about right here. He says, "More warriors and wizards here to sacrifice themselves to the higher powers of the world. You'll love to see that. Welcome. Come on in. The infernal fires are just fine." And as he says that, he slams his hammer down, and you see, kind of similar in appearance to the little like devils and fiends that are like scattered about, but smaller and in a spiritual form, they begin to emanate around his person in like kind of like a radius. Yeah, I can use a little radius feature. Damn, that's a large ass radius. That doesn't seem right at all. That's broken. What? How is this gonna look? Okay, so yeah, it's that large a radius. Everything in that radius,
Jeez.
everything in that is gonna have to, as soon as you start your turn. Oh wow, no. So an affected creature without the roll, your speed is halved. So you see these fiendish reddish spirits emanating around him, and flitting about in this entire area. Your speed is halved in that area, and when a creature enters the area for the first time on its turn or starts its turn there, it has to make a wisdom saving throw, and then something bad might happen to you. But yeah, you see him slam the ground with his hammer. These things emanate seemingly from the ground around you. They aren't coming from his person. They're like coming from this soil, this red soil, where there's like you see fire emanating all around you. And he's done. This guy's dead. This guy's gonna go. You're gonna see this guy. He's gonna run, still flaming, his red cloak. He runs like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He's dashing, not with no regard for anything, and he's gonna like lay and dive and go prostrate at this creature's form. And he's saying something in Infernal as he like kneels down at this creature. And then this guy, you see this other cultist who has been hit by, I think, an arrow or a Toll the Dead, so he's kind of injured. He hobbles his way over here, his full movement, and then he's going to cast Burning Hands on Aldrich and Bud. So both y'all make dexterity saving throws. You see this Burning Hands is especially empowered by everything that's happening around. Okay, both y'all are going to take the full brunt as you're not quite able to get out of the way as these spirits from Hazeltine are hitting you clean. They'll both take 9 damage, 9 fire damage, and you're both now have the infernal wounding upon you, which I'll use that to indicate. Okay, and then after he's done, you see the beasts continue to move out of the circle as you saw before, like so. Some of them fly up into the burning clouds ahead. Some of them are climbing out of the hole. You're kind of like sunken down in this clearing, and it begins turn again. Who is not feeling so good right now? What is Gin going to do? Is that a first level spell slots? Fantastic. How big is this? 15 foot. I don't know what to do. There's too many options. You're gonna see Gin cast. He's gonna cast Hex on Hazeltine and say Dexterity saving throw. And then he's going to cast Sacred Flame on Hazeltine. So he would probably say something. He would say, like, the cleric won't be able to dodge well. He doesn't know Hazeltine is his name, I guess. I'm presuming that Aldrich didn't tell him that.
No. I don't know if I knew his name.
No, you did.
I did? Oh.
I mean, you probably forgot it, but, like, whenever in my notes I had it, like, he said you knew his name because he was, like, saying, like, I'm telling this tale and I'm Hazeltine. At some point. Dexterity. It's not going to pass. So you see Aldrich, you hit him with the spell earlier, and Bud, you saw it as well. This spell, seemingly because it's radiant damage, and again said something about Sacred Flame and radiant damage, this spell hits him in his armor, and this flame licks up, and it seems to do what a magic attack should do, like what your magic missile should have done. It's like return to 0. It's not -1, it's not +1. Whereas your magic missile is +1, if that makes sense. And then again, he's going to back away out of the bones, kind of wading his way through and get right here. And then he'd be done. This guy's dead. It's Remy's turn. So he's going to take a little bit of damage. And then he has to roll a con. He's not going to pass. So you see he loses kind of like the speed that he was working with. He was concentrating on some type of spell that is now dissipated. And there's a lot of spell slots. Rangers can do work. Damn, that's not a... You are going to see him... He's going to Misty Step over here, and he's going to fire one arrow towards the cultist and 1 arrow towards Hazeltine. So you see him blink out of existence, and he reappears over there with 2 arrows already notched, and he kind of 1-2s. And the cultist is going to get hit. Hazeltine's able to dodge it. He kind of ducks down, knowing that something just moved behind him. He reacts. And the cultist gets hit kind of in the leg. He does not go down, but he was already hit as well, so you can see he's very weak right now. Hazeltine's able to dodge. And then, yeah, that was a bonus action. So Remy is done. Darcy, it's your turn.
I think. Can I say something to Remy before he ends his turn?
Before the end of his turn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darcy shout, "Hey Remy, back up like 5 more feet."
He's like, done. Kind of knowing what you're thinking.
All right. I'm gonna cast Shatter right here, and it should hit all the baddies.
Okay. What's the radius on Shatter? 15?
10 feet.
10 feet. Okay. Yeah. That's a con.
Yeah, and do I want to do it 3rd level? No, I'm gonna save my. Yeah, just at 2nd level. Oh, that's awful.
I don't think on any single saving throw, no enemy in this round so far has rolled above a 10. Like without the addition of like their modifiers. So they all get hit. This guy gets blasted back. He's done. This guy takes 9, so he's still standing. Hazeltine takes. You see this shatter, this electrical like sound energy hit him, and it doesn't do what you think it would do. It doesn't do its full effect. This creature does it? Let's see, this is what kind of damage is this?
Thunder.
Yeah, you see it takes damage as well.
Okay, and does it hit the horde from the Elderwood as well? The holder, isn't he like on top of the ogre?
No, I'd say at this point, like he did this, he like attacked him, landed on top of him, and then like they're on the ground and they're kind of trying to grapple with each other. So it's,
okay,
he's where he is now.
Then I am going to get the fuck away from them. Just gonna casually slink over here, and that's my turn.
Okay. I'm actually going to make you to move like that far over the bones. I probably should have done this when you like went up the bones, but that's like a big bone pile that's like leading up, and like walking on it would be difficult to do. So I would say you'd have to roll like an acrobatics just to like maintain, like to get that far walking across it. All right, so you're able to do that. Kind of precariously stepping over these bones, and like some of them are shifting because they're not like, it's not solid ground, obviously. Aldrich, it would be your turn if you're done.
Aldrich, that's 3.
Aldrich wants to cast Thunderwave, but Bud's right next to him, so he's not
Okay,
going
yeah, at
to.
the start of your turn, you have to roll a wisdom
Okay.
saving throw. Okay, so you feel some necrotic energy pulsing throughout your person, and it does not feel good. And it's coming from the little red fiend spirit things that are emanating from Hazeltine. You're going to take 12 damage.
Holy shit.
Necrotic damage from these creatures.
Alright.
And
Aldrich
your
is not
speed
feeling good.
Your speed is halved in this, as long as you're in this radius.
Okay, well, halved, so if it's 25, can I move 10 or 15?
You can move 12 and a half.
Doesn't answer my question. I'll
Well,
round
that's
up.
the answer. It's 12 and a half, so you would be able to, you wouldn't be able to get out of a 15-foot radius. You would just be inside of it.
Okay. Well, shit. Well, I will cast Mage Armor for my action. And that's about all I can do.
Okay. So you got Mage Armor on you now?
Yeah, and I got my Arcane Ward.
Yuki. But it's your turn after Aldrich is done.
Okay. Another dex? Or
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Sorry.
Okay, wisdom. And I have advantage on that. And I mean, it's against magic, I assume?
This is against magic, yep.
Okay.
Oh shit, forgot to do advantage on mine. Well,
Also, both of y'all, I mean, you would be able to re-roll that and you'd take half damage. So instead of taking 12, you'd take 6 if you, so you're able to pass that, Bud. So you're going to take,
nope. Same roll, perfect.
Bud, you take 8 damage, half. It actually rolled really high. And then actually both y'all are going to take a little bit of infernal fire damage if you didn't heal yourself or do a medicine check at the beginning of your turn. So y'all both take 2 fire damage at the beginning of your turn as this infernal fire continues to burn through you.
So I'd be downed if that happened.
Okay, you're downed.
Okay.
Shit.
I'm gonna move away. You say I have half movement here?
Half movement while you're in that radius, yeah.
Okay. Well, I can move out. I'm gonna move there and check a potion.
Yep.
I have a potion of greater healing. I will take. And that's 44 plus 4.
The greater, yeah, be
Yep.
double. Alright, so you gain 11. You no longer feel the infernal burning sensation.
And then I'm gonna cast Chill Touch at the big boy.
The infernal spawn again? Okay.
Yep.
Roll me that attack.
Oh.
That does not hit.
Okay. When's the last time we had a long rest? Right before this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all would have traveled.
So I
to
haven't
Eslock
used
and
any of
had
my
a long rest.
lucky things, right?
Probably not, no.
Okay. They're still like checked off, but I don't know why it didn't clear it whenever I long rested. Okay, I'm gonna use a lucky dice.
Okay.
Damn it. Okay.
That also does not hit. Well,
Okay.
I guess I can't tell you that if you wanted to use another one, right? I don't know how it works. I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well. I'm gonna use one more, and then I'll save the last.
Okay. That does not hit.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
This is fate. No, because you don't like. Okay, it's about to go, and I'll go into like what's about to do, but like you don't know how money that chill touch was last turn,
right.
like, and how money it would be if it hit again right now.
Yeah, I know.
So it's gonna go, and y'all remembered this cultist that ran over. It was already he was like kind of hit. He's holding his arm. He sprints over, goes prostrate at this thing. It's kind of like punching and duking it out with this other corned black creature from the Elderwood, and you see it kind of like, it stops for a moment, it sees this cultist down at his feet, and just without a second thought, it picks him up and just rips his head off and bites him and starts to like drink his blood from like his headless body. And you definitely see some of its wounds seal up, and fire kind of emanates from where it was cut and where it had been like damaged by various people through the fight so far. And after doing that, it's going to turn and it's just going to unleash a punch at. Okay, so it rears back and it tries to punch this. It like holds its head and then it delivers this strike. So we'll see what happens. And you see, like at this point in the fight, like it's kind of like winning because it had sustained less damage than the creature that had chased y'all here because y'all had already like damaged it. And with that, basically regardless of the damage, you see it pulls this thing's head back, punches it in the jaw, and you see it's like, this thing was like headless, it has long horns, but it has like a sharp rows of teeth. You see it's like punch its jaw into like its brain and the teeth and stuff. You hear cracking and breaking, and it just falls backward, KO'd, apparently dead, as you see black blood begin to seep from its head, Darcy, as it falls backward like a finished boxer into this pile of bones that you're near. And you see the infernal spawn kind of turn and face all the other challengers that are. He says, "Asmodeus does not suffer weakness," and it would be Hazeltine's turn again. What will he do? Okay, he's gonna walk directly past Aldrich's kind of like body as he's clearly gone unconscious. Get right here, and as he's walking past Aldrich's body, it's like there's
spit on me.
There's one to the flame. Here comes another, and he's swinging at you, bud, with his warhammer.
Well, shit.
What is your AC?
Bud uses
Including everything, like
as a reaction, Misty Step.
you can't Misty Step
You
as
can't
a
do that as a
reaction.
reaction. What can you do as a reaction? Isn't there something you can do as a reaction?
Well, you're wearing that displacer cloak, aren't you?
Oh, yes, that's what it is.
You can do that once per short rest to give an attack disadvantage.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
You see him coming up to you. He's looming over you, even though he's a dwarf and he's also shorter. And he's bringing down his. So you're going to use that. So, what is your AC though? It's 15.
AC is 15 right now
Okay.
because of mage armor.
That's including. Okay. Ooh. So this is still going to hit. So you're going to take 8 damage from this as he swings at you with his pretty gigantic red and black warhammer with like flames on it. But it's not flaming. And you're now Gin and Bud are back in the aura. This guy's dead. This guy's dead. It's Gin's turn again. He's going to roll a wisdom saving throw.
Nice.
Okay. He's able to pass that, but he's still going to take some necrotic damage. Oh my god. Okay, Gin, you see him, he almost gets laid low by that strike. I guess that was the top of the round. So before Gin goes, that's all going to count. Gin almost gets laid low by that. He's going to roll a Constitution as well because he's. Wait, did he have his hex going? Yes, he did.
I think he
had...
lost it.
No, he lost his hex and then he recast it on Hazeltine. So Hazeltine is dexterity impaired right now, but he's going to re-roll. He loses his hex again. So Gin, you see Gin get struck by this. He goes to one knee. You can tell Darcy right there, like he just experienced a lot of necrotic pain emanating around his person. But y'all all roll a perception check as you kind of, as this fight's been going on, you've heard the licking of flames all around you from like kind of the landscape. There's like fire geysers, and the Hellmouth itself, this portal in the center with the pentagram around it, is certainly making noises, and you've heard stormy like lightning bolts of like red lightning and stuff from the red clouds and like the sky above you and this blood moon. But joining that kind of those sounds, you hear something else, and it sounds like it's coming from the sky. And
do I roll perception or no?
Nah, I guess not. No, wouldn't make sense to.
Okay.
We're in a bad way, guys.
So you see from burst forth, I'll say Bud with Root, kind of like this is Root doing most of the work rather than Bud. Bud's not paying attention because he just got hit by a warhammer, but you see this through Root's eyes. Emanating from one of the red clouds, you see a figure burst forth, and it looks familiar because it's the same figure you saw, I guess, over a month ago or whenever in the original events in S-Lock, whenever we encountered the portal in the skull, and Gin was kind of drawn towards it, and we just like walked past it. We avoided it to get into Edrin's tower, but before we fully like passed by it, we saw some things come from the portal. And the reason Root and you would remember this is because it was kind of a distinct looking thing. You see this creature fly out right now above you out of the clouds.
Oh shit!
Oh shit!
And you see it kind of like it comes out of the clouds. It's really high in the air. It swoops down, and it gets pretty low to where you can see it better. And then you see it just kind of like fly by, but then something else kind of comes off of it and is heading down towards the group. And it kind of, so you see this creature flying overhead above you. It doesn't land or anything. It gets low, and then it drops off a small humanoid figure that is going to land somewhere. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna see. Oh yeah, that's a hit. So you see this figure, and I guess Darcy, you'd see this as well. You didn't get as good a look at the creature, but a figure like drops down from the sky and kind of like lands on the infernal spawn, and then kind of like you see it go through him almost, which is kind of hard to understand, but it's gonna land right here and has a blade in its hand, and it looks weird. And then that happens to Gin. It's Gin's turn, and you see Gin get racked by this necrotic energy, and he's like, fuck. He's like down on one knee. He sees this happen. This creature gets like struck. It seems to injure it, even though it's hard to tell like what really happened because it kind of happened quickly, and it definitely looked like it moved through the creature. And it kind of lets out a cry, the infernal spawn does, so something happened to it. And then it lands right here, and it kind of gets up, and you see, not visible to everybody, showed everyone. You see this like dark, almost translucent figure. I mean, you've seen ghosts before. Y'all were in S-Lock. And he kind of has his dark, translucent blade drawn, and he's like out by his side. He lands there. Gin looks up, sees this, and you see Gin kind of say, Bud and Darcy will be able to hear this, the Shroud. So that's why you know his name. I don't know if it appears in his token. So now it's Gin's turn. So Gin, understanding what type of spell is being done to cause these fiends to do this shit, he's going to focus his last spell slot, and he's going to hex Hazeltine again and say Wisdom, and he's going to pull the dead him. And he would say to you, Darcy, like, we have to break this spell, knowing that if he can break concentration, good things will happen. Wisdom.
Did he make a Constitution saving throw when he, or I guess he'd cast a different spell.
He's not going to pass. Let me roll damage. 10 damage. He's going to roll a con. He's going to pass. But he looks pretty weak. You see this necrotic energy. You see, again, snap his fingers, classic Toll the Dead signature, and along with the hex that he just cast on him, that seemed to do quite a bit of damage. And Hazeltine isn't smiling anymore, barking about the Hellmouth and how awesome it's going to be when he puts all of our bodies in it. It would be Remy's turn. Remy. Oh, shit. He's still burning over here as well. He takes a lot of damage from that, but he's still holding strong. And you are going to see him. He really wants to get this shot in, understanding kind of what Gin was shouting about even from that distance. And you see him he draws a single arrow from his quiver. And whereas before you were shooting 2 at once, he's gonna draw 1. And you hear him say kind of in a heightened voice, he's like, "I call on the power of our door." And he fires a arrow that seems to strike more true at Hazeltine. Oh yeah. Ooh. Does Longbow crit on 19s and 20s? Or is that just in like 3rd edition?
I do not know the answer to that.
Not sure.
There's probably an effect.
I think that's normally like a powerful character trait, isn't it?
Well, it might be like I know in Longbows, whenever you played a ranger, I think all it took was like you playing the class. This is in 3.5 or Pathfinder, either one. Longbows just critted more often. It was like a 19 to 20 roll. I know it's just like a natural if you're using like a normal longbow and you're a ranger. But I don't think it's that way in 5th edition. Anyways, he's going to hit, and how does Remy want to do this on Hazeltine? Because Hazeltine is he's holding his warhammer up. He's using his warhammer to hold up his body. You see this right in front of you, bud. He just struck you with it, and you see he kind of spits some blood out, and he's like, "I can't wait for Asmodeus to eat your ass." And then he's firing an arrow goes through his neck, and he falls down. And that was the exact phrasing he used. And Darcy, it's your turn.
Okay, Darcy's gonna chill touch the Infernal Spawn.
Okay, that is a hit. That does a little bit of damage.
So that's baby damage.
So you see, I'm gonna say you can roll me an intelligence check because you definitely just saw the shroud do its attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's say intelligence, because it's going to be obvious to see. Perception isn't required. So you are able to put something together, kind of, you Jimmy Neutron this in the moment. It wouldn't take long to like do this. It's kind of instantaneous. But you remembered in the S-Lock streets, whenever y'all were going through them and battling various horrific creatures, after you met up with Laura, and after you dealt with like the Praying Mantis thing, and it escaped, and you're kind of heading towards the skull, on the back end of it, you encountered a slain creature called a Gug. I think Gin knew exactly what it was. It's like a giant from the far realm.
Like that huge. Yeah, it was like that huge.
That huge thing that had like a mouth for like its body, and it was clearly just like extraplanar, just aberrational creature. And you remembered it was already dead, and Gin mentioned something about, or you saw that its wounds were kind of the wounds. I'll just say the wounds that were caused on it is the exact same. It looks the exact same as the wound that was just caused on this Infernal Spawn as this creature, or this person known as the Shroud, just landed and attacked him. So I'll say you know that.
Okay.
So that's some damage, and that means that he cannot heal, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. It'd be your turn, Aldridge, for your death save. That you don't have to. This aura is gone, so that's good for you and everyone else.
So just death saving throw?
Yep.
Nothing else? Okay.
Oh
Okay.
God.
Marked it.
Okay. So you failed one death saving throw. It is Bud's turn.
Hazeltine's dead, right?
Hazeltine is dead. There was a arrow that went through him.
I see the X counter.
I kind of want to chill touch this boy again.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a hit.
6.
That does
Some bad damage.
some more damage. You see its body get racked back to back with these cold fingers of fate, and it is not happy. But it seems most of its ire is being directed towards the creature that just kind of phased through him and slashed his body. So it is going to go, if you're done.
I'm gonna move, and that's it.
Oh, I forgot to move on my turn.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would have taken a couple steps like this way to try to get to Aldridge.
Okay. So yeah, you go down the bones. It's easier going down them than up them, so you're fine. No acrobatics check. And you're going to see the Infernal Spawn. It brings both of its claws down upon the Shroud. Oh god, one of them is going to hit. Ooh. Damn. So that does quite a bit. So you see it brings down 2 claw attacks. One of them, he kind of like shifts out of the way quickly. It almost looks like he didn't move, and he just shifted in place. And then the other one like catches him, like he misstepped almost, and he gets just struck really hard. He gets knocked back a little bit, and it seems like that did considerable damage. You even hear him grunt and his grunt sounds like his voice is raspy. I don't know how to do the grunt and raspy voice, but he's going to say something right now because he's going to go, I'll say, the end of the turn, the top of the order again. He's going to say, "Back to hell with you." And then he runs, and it's like, again, it looks like he's sliding underneath where he is, but he seems to like phase through him. Like you definitely see his body transfer through this guy's legs, and as he does it, he slices across on the spawn's leg, and yep, this is gonna hurt. That's a hit. Okay. That
Ghost
is
Batman.
gonna do it. The Ghost Man is gonna I gotta think about how I'm gonna make this cinematic. So he was just doing like an ankle slash, but kind of like with that maneuver and with like the conviction that he did it, he almost like that's not the end of his attack, and he slashes across on this thing's leg. It brings it down to like one knee. Its head like looks back, and then he spins around and just slices up across its face, and you see its head just kind of like start to split in half as this ethereal energy kind of marks the area around where he cut it on its leg and its face, and it falls backwards and begins to immediately go skeletal and like burn, and he takes a step back as this thing is brought down.
Darcy's gonna rush over to Aldrich.
Yep.
And
So again,
dump a potion down his gullet.
Gen's gonna like help you in doing that, and also dragging him away from like the fire and shit that is emanating from that creature.
Yeah.
As I like gain consciousness again,
Oh, that's not good.
I want to
It's
like
enough to
say to
bring him
Darcy,
back.
"Did you get any more while I was down?"
No, I wanted to. I killed 3 of them. This Shadow Batman guy over here killed the big guy, and then Remy got Hazeltine.
Yeah, that was a tasty potion.
Yep, that was not. Could have been better.
Was that
Maybe
one
you
of the
should
ones
do
that I made when I was testing potions? It probably wasn't the best one to get, but that's okay. Better than nothing. Appreciate it.
No, that was a. I'd be like, no, this fucking asshole sold it to me. It wasn't your potion.
Okay. So you see Remy. He runs over here, and he looks like he's like looking into the Hellmouth, and he has his bow drawn still. And then you see this guy kind of just walk through the downed body. He walks around the fire, but he walks through the downed body of the whatever it was from the Elderwood, and he says, "Quickly, we have to leave now."
Why do we have to leave? Is the Hellmouth closing or something? Where are we going?
We need to get out of this place.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice.
And he would see that Remy's near it, and he's like, "What are you doing? Get away from it!" And he would go and corral Remy while whatever he was doing.
While this is happening, Darcy is scooping 2 piles of bones into the bag of holding.
Yep.
Actually, she's scooping as many piles of bones as she can get into the bag of holding.
Holy shit.
Okay. We can resolve that later. I'll say you're able to like mostly max it out. I don't know if anything was already in there.
She starts throwing everything else out for the
She's
bones.
just dragging the bag of holding across the pile of bones.
Gin would say, he's like, that was the Shroud. He's a vigilante from Eldor. I don't know why he was here. He was riding one of those creatures, but yeah, we can try to do something about the Hellmouth, but like kind of as you're saying this and as Remy's over there, you see like a couple of more small devil fiendish creatures emerge from the Hellmouth as Remy's like firing. He fires a couple of his arrows into it as like this light, and he's just it seems like it's a hole that like, or like a portal of some kind, obviously, and like there's things he's shooting into it. The arrows kind of disappear, and then you see a couple more creatures emanate from it, and they are immediately scattering to the edge of the, kind of ignoring and going their separate ways. But Gin would say, yeah, we can figure out how to close it, but I don't know how to. We can perhaps the Shroud knows. I don't know, but if at all possible, we should try to get out. And he's like looking around, just trying to see what the best way of doing that would be. Remy and the Shroud would come back together. So what are y'all doing?
Darcy's scooping bones up.
So should we try to close the portal? What are we doing, Remy and Shroud?
You would hear Remy start to speak up. He'd be like, "Yes, we can close it. I just need time, and perhaps a cleric, and perhaps." And then he gets cut off by the Shroud, and he says, "It can be closed, but you're wrong that it can be closed by a cleric and the conventional means that you're going through. This can only be closed one way. And right now, he looks at everyone. It's like, we're not equipped to do it. It requires, and he looks back at it and looks at y'all. It requires insertion. I've done it before, but it would require months of preparation. At least it did for me to successfully do it without losing my head. For now, we just need to get out of the area. I don't know why y'all are here. I was keeping it on my radar, and I saw what looked like innocents enter. More innocents than they've already brought here out of their own volition. And it looks like y'all were able to fight back and survive, but we need to leave. And he starts to head towards just like basically where y'all came in, just like walking up the bones, and he starts to like try to like figure out handhold to try to climb out. It's like a 20-foot sink into this like flatlands with the bones, and if you climbed up to the bones and got up to the ledge, then it would be like a 15 to 20-foot climb.
What if we poured a couple 100 pounds of bones on it? Y'all think that would seal it up? Probably not.
Aldrich.
Okay.
Gin would look at you and be like, "That Aldrich, I'm sorry. That's a terrible idea."
Hey man, I was close to death. I gotta forgive some of these jokes.
Yeah, you're a little woozy, I guess.
Yeah, still gain my consciousness.
And Gin would have thrown a health potion to Remy as he walked up, seeing that he was still kind of under the influence of the burning. And Remy would use that. Thanks, Gin. Yeah, so I guess, what are y'all doing?
Climbing out.
Getting hungry.
Is there anything else of interest in this area other than like the portal? Like, what's this thing? Are all these things still trying to climb out, or are they just like...
Most of them are already gone.
Okay.
I just didn't move them all.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Alright, so y'all are able to, say with enough time, y'all are able to climb out. And you surface, and as soon as you surface, like, the sky seems to like slowly return to normal, as if it's like it was like an illusory sky you saw before. And whenever you look back, you can still see like this drop down into the Hellmouth, but like the soil is no longer red, and the center of the where the Hellmouth actually was and the fire emanating from it is just like a black swirling circle that it doesn't look the same. So whenever y'all surface out of it, you're back kind of, if you just scroll down a little bit in the Elderwood, kind of y'all spend some time to get away from it. So you got your bones, Darcy. I'd say you haven't more than enough time to do that.
So, Mr. Shroud, what exactly is this thing? Why is it? How is it opened? And what were they doing with it? They were just releasing devils out in the wild. That's it.
He would say, "It's like, well, the short answer is yes, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Those cultists you saw were." They're from Eldor. They're infernal cultists, and they were operating under that cleric to open what is called a Hellmouth. It's not a V, it's an These are opening in areas across the realm, and I've only encountered two before this. One I was able to close, but essentially Asmodeus has his eyes on what's happening here in Eslock and elsewhere regarding increased dimensional activity. And he would look again as he says that. He's like, Asmodeus is looking to capitalize upon opportunities. And this Hellmouth isn't going to be the last one open near Eslock. As I said, it will need powerful magics to close them, and it involves insertion. Brave souls will be required to enter, and the infernal plane isn't a place I would wish upon anyone. But that's what it's going to take. And Gin is like nodding as he says this. Remy appears like visibly agitated, as you can see his eyes and perfect skin is still glowing. And Gin would ask the Shroud, it's like, "We thank you for your intervention, but what the hell did you ride in on?" And he would be like, "Well, that was a creature that I encountered. I don't know where it came from, but I was able to tame it. And I've been training it because I've never seen such a creature. And I don't know if I'll ever find it again. Honestly, that might have been a one-way trip. I might never encounter such a beast again. But I was able to tame it and capture it to the point where I could ride it." But he looks around in the sky. It's like, who knows where it is now? It's like, we should get going. Let's walk and talk. I mean, if y'all weren't already doing that, I guess you would be heading. The Shroud would be leading everyone back, kind of Remy as well, back towards Eslock, where you came from, unless anybody had a mind for something else. But based on the level of health of Gen and Aldrich especially, even Remy would definitely suggest that we head back along with Gen.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Darcy would agree with that.
Yep.
And you would hear Gen also. He puts together, as we're walking or making our exit from the Elderwood, you can see Gen's kind of on high alert, and you hear him having a conversation with Remy. He mentions that creature, the horned devil, which I'll never forget its horrific visage, although I've never seen one before. That, tell me if I'm wrong, Remy, but that appeared to be perhaps a powerful predator, if not the alpha predator of this Elderwood area, based on its size, that there's nothing that could prey upon it. That seems rather obvious, and it seemed natural to this region. What is the nature of the Elderwood? Why would that creature be here? I'll be honest with you, Remy, and he's kind of speaking to everyone. He's like, Sire conveyed something to me at the start of that fight. And Darcy, you would kind of link that up with that connection that you felt at the beginning. Whenever you felt Gen having a revelation, but you weren't sure of its contents. It's like he informed me to try to, in whatever way I could, pit the creature that followed us into the Hellmouth against the creature that spawned from the Hellmouth, which leads me to believe, rather obviously, that that creature was of an abyssal origin. And everything around the Hellmouth and the Hellmouth itself was obviously infernal in origin. Remy, you said this is fate, and that you... And I think I know what you meant. They opened a Hellmouth in the Elderwoods for a reason. And the Shroud to be listening to this as well. Asmodeus is not only placing it near Eslock for a reason, he placed it near the Elderwood for a reason, and then the Hagmar Marsh. It's because... And then Shroud would finish for him, and so would Remy. It's like the Blood War, which y'all know is the battle, the eternal battle between the Abyss and the Infernal Planes, where devils and demons are mortal enemies and fight kind of an endless battle against one another. So Gen, based on what Sire revealed to him, this is what he puts together and is talking about with the Shroud and Remy.
But again, why would Sire have just a care in the outcome of the Blood War? Or
that
it just seems like, you said he doesn't talk to you very often. It seems strange he would bring that up of all things.
I agree, and I don't know why he would be interested in the Blood War for a specific sense, but in many senses, all gods and all magic users have an innate interest in the Blood War, because if it were to ever break away, and then you can tell like he's speaking from like his studies, this is just something that he knows general knowledge of. If it were to ever break away from its current stalemate, and if either the demons of the Abyss or the devils of the Infernal Plane were to take control of the other's domain, that could be the end of all existence, of the prime material plane, and stretching into other realms, other planes, other universes. And I agree, it was odd. My instinct is to think that Sire saw me in a life or death situation, and he wanted to impart to me that bit of knowledge because he thought it would help me survive, and I think it did. Beyond that, I don't know what his place would be within the Bloodmoor, his specific interest. And the Shroud would kind of basically, Gen and the Shroud would together explain that the Shroud would back up what Gen said about the Blood War. And y'all could roll intelligence checks or religion, history, arcana, any one of those if you want to, like, it kind of, oh, I already knew that anyways, versus, oh, I just learned that.
It's history, 17.
Okay, yeah, but I'd say you know what the Blood War is, Darcy. Yeah, so that's lore. Wizards would know what the Blood War is, and you would be able to, the part about if one side won, it would be really bad, that's definitely true, based on your knowledge of it as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that does make sense.
And then Gen would say, he would reveal, he's like, by the way, I knew Remy was an Aasimar, he doesn't like revealing that to people he doesn't know that well. So I don't know how y'all feel about that, but to me, it's pretty dope.
Never met an Aasimar before, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I haven't met an Aasimar either, but so far I like every Aasimar I've met, so.
I'm going to try to get a better, because I don't have the Aasimar like details in front of me. Yeah, so they're just celestial blood, and they're born to serve. He did say you could roll me This is kind of like the end. If y'all wanted to like follow up or ask any things, you could, because it's just like the walk back to S-Lock, and then this is kind of the end of the misadventure of the Hellmouth. But y'all could roll me I would say religion or arcana on whenever Remy said something during the fight. Whenever he got the final shot, Hazeltine, he called out to something. Okay, everybody's ridiculous at arcana. He said, Ardor guide me, or this is for Ardor, spelled like that. And you would have some lore I need to open up, but my Chrome is being really slow. Basically, Ardor is like an archangel. It's a celestial being. So you know that is a named, it's not a god per se, but it's a celestial entity that perhaps could be considered a demigod. If he's speaking of the same Ardor that you know, which based on his heritage is likely.
Sweet. So we're going back to S-Lock?
Yeah, we'd be heading back to S-Lock anything that y'all wanted to do on the way there would be fair game, and then once we're back in S-Lock, it'd just kind of be like regrouping.
Darcy would be making a zombie.
Okay. Yep. Because those are permanent until they just die violently, right? So there's no reason not to make one now.
Well, I can recast it and extend their life for 24 hours every.
Okay. But that's using a spell slot. So like basically, as long as you have one of those up, like a spell slot's just in use essentially.
Yeah. So I can maintain 4 at a time with one cast of Animate Dead.
Okay.
So in order to raise one, I have to cast Animate Dead, and then I can maintain 4 with another Animate Dead cast.
Okay, sweet.
All right. Darcy got a zombie. His name is Harold.
All right, I'll keep track of those names. I'll find a zombie token. Here, this is what I'll do. I'll make a zombie token, and I'll create a character called Zombie, and then I'll give you control of it. So then you can pull out zombies and use
You
them.
said you could have 4?
Yeah.
But you would have to cast the spell 4 times, right?
It's time to up that power level, baby.